Chapter 225. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. You can squeeze with Chuyu, Night Sorrow said with a smile. So you're saying that you're giving Sikong to me today? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Ninth senior sister, what are you talking about? Sikong Chuyu blushed. Yang Lei's words implied that something had already happened between Sikong Chuyu and Night Sorrow. Hee, it's settled then. 13, you took advantage of me a few days ago. I'm going to earn it back today, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. D=original #FS release. Night Sorrow blushed. What happened a few days ago was a complete accident. At that time, Night Sorrow didn't think too much about it, but now that he thought about it, it was indeed inappropriate. Seeing that Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu had gone to rest, Night Sorrow also returned to his room to cultivate. Listening to the two girls laughing and giggling, Night Sorrow was unable to meditate and cultivate. Fortunately, the two of them were only fooling around for a while and did not delay Night Sorrow's cultivation. After daybreak, the three of them ate something together. Then, Night Sorrow left. He was going to Dan Ding Cliff to raise his true chi cultivation to the peak stage of element gathering tier, and then slowly settle down. There were some people who had been in the peak stage of element gathering tier for a very long time. Enlightenment, Shi Yunxiao, Lan Yu, and the others had all settled down for more than a year. Night Sorrow also wanted to cultivate to the bottleneck earlier, and then settle down to find an opportunity to break through. Love Go Little Say Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu both supported Night Sorrow's decision. They also hoped that Night Sorrow could improve his cultivation as soon as possible. Elder Su was also surprised to see Night Sorrow, because Night Sorrow hadn't been here for a while. After greeting Elder Su, Night Sorrow asked Tianyu to return to the bamboo forest peak. Then, he began to climb the cliff. Night Sorrow didn't have any difficulty reaching the 4,000 m mark. Night Sorrow then charged towards the 5,000 m mark. Seeing Night Sorrow climb the cliff, many disciples who came to cultivate paused and watched Night Sorrow climb the cliff. Night Sorrow had broken the record when he was in the 6th level of element gathering tier, and now he was already in the 9th level of element gathering tier. Everyone wanted to know whether or not Night Sorrow would challenge the record he had set. At 4,500 meters, Night Sorrow felt some pressure, but it was still within his tolerance. Night Sorrow paused for a moment, took a sip of wine, and continued climbing. Enlightenment, do you think the heavens created such a monster to attack us on purpose? Lan Yu, who was very close to enlightenment, asked. There are new talents in every generation. 13th uncle is the king of this generation, enlightenment said. If Yi Shang had defeated Shi Yunxiao, then Qi Ming still had the thought of challenging him. But after Yi Shang killed Tai Fei and Zhan Xia, that thought was completely gone. He wasn't a match for either of them, let alone killing them consecutively. Indeed, he killed 6 people consecutively that day in the arena. We couldn't compete with any of them. Will he continue to challenge the height of Danding Cliff? Lan Yu was convinced. I don't think so. 13th uncle doesn't care about other people's opinions. He only asks his own heart. If he doesn't think it's necessary, he won't do it, enlightenment said. He's not a high-profile person. You don't know, but now my martial aunt Lin is in a dilemma because of him. Although no one said anything about her, she has been feeling guilty, Lan Yu said. That can't be helped. 13th uncle seems to have someone in his heart. Remember the last woman that appeared that day? Martial aunt Lin Jingyi said she was at the peak of the 4th step. She seems to be a beauty. Enlightenment said with a smile. That's why 13th uncle rejected all the arrangements of crepe myrtle. This also hurt martial aunt Lin's self-esteem, Lan Yu said. Lan Yu said. She understood that because Yi Shang had refused, Lin Jingyi felt embarrassed and attacked Yi Shang. Let's not talk about it. Look at how fierce this guy is. We can't even reach 4,300 meters, but he's already at 4,700 meters. He's still not stopping. Enlightenment said as he looked at Night Sorrow, who was rushing towards the 5,000-meter platform. At this time, Night Sorrow had already reached the 4,800-meter platform. After drinking 2 mouthfuls of wine, he took a breath and recovered a little. Night Sorrow continued to rush towards the 5,000-meter platform. Climbing to 4,800 meters didn't consume much energy for Night Sorrow. He climbed to the 5,000-meter platform in a spurt of energy. Night Sorrow didn't stop after reaching the 5,000-meter platform. Instead, he moved forward another 10 meters and found a platform to meditate. The 5,000-meter platform didn't have any pressure. It wasn't suitable for refining Jin Qi and the energy in the body. I have nothing to say. Enlightenment shook his head and sat down to cultivate. Lan Yu was the same. She saw that Night Sorrow didn't have any pressure when he reached the 5,000-meter platform. It was very easy. In other words, 5,000 meter wasn't Night Sorrow's limit. Enlightenment and Lan Yu weren't the only ones who had this idea. Everyone who saw Night Sorrow climbing the cliff had this idea. Looking at Night Sorrow sitting cross-legged and cultivating, Elder Su nodded silently. His feelings for Night Sorrow were complicated. Night Sorrow had found the Holy Cauldron scripture, which allowed him to break through and extend his life. This was gratitude and pride. He was proud that the Medicine Valley had such a disciple. The elders of the Medicine Valley had a meeting to discuss it. They planned to cultivate Gong Xian and Night Sorrow as the successors of the Valley Master. However, Yu Yangyu refused. Gong Xian was now the peak master. In the future, his achievements depended on himself. Night Sorrow wasn't interested in this because he didn't want to go to Danding Peak. He just wanted to stay at Taishian Peak and cultivate. This kind of attitude made the elders of the Medicine Valley hate and love. They hated his lack of ambition and loved his indifference to fame and fortune. Night Sorrow was recovering while refining his own cultivation. After recovering his energy, Night Sorrow stood up and used the Jin Yu hand to consume his Jin Qi and energy. Then, he continued to cultivate. This disappointed those who wanted to see Night Sorrow continue to challenge. Night Sorrow had no intention of continuing to climb. Night Sorrow cultivated at this position for 4 days. As long as his Jin Qi and energy in his body recovered, he would get up and cultivate his battle skills. Sometimes, he would cultivate his spear arts and movement skills. Other times, he would face the pressure from Danding Cliff and cultivate the killing fist. After consuming his Jin Qi and energy from the myriad Tao Tome, he would continue to cultivate. The high intensity of cultivation allowed Night Sorrow's cultivation to increase very quickly. Especially with the myriad Tao Tome, the muscle-strengthening energy in his body increased exponentially. Batch after batch of disciples came to Danding Cliff to cultivate. Only Night Sorrow, who was 5,000 meters above Danding Cliff, didn't move. Feeling the pressure lessen, Night Sorrow continued to climb. When he reached the platform at 5,100 meters, he continued to cultivate. Night Sorrow cultivated for half a month. He only stopped when his Jin Qi couldn't increase anymore. The myriad Tao Tome's cultivation was also not far from the peak of muscle strengthening level 7. Night Sorrow's cultivation speed was fast because the effects of cultivating at Danding Cliff were too strong. It was second only to the Yuan gathering array. Otherwise, the disciples of the Medicine Valley wouldn't care so much about merit points. Night Sorrow broke the record, which meant that he had the privilege of increasing his cultivation without limit. Chapter 226. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by Shao. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Since Tianyu was not there, Night Sorrow was strolling slowly on the mountain road, feeling the true qi in his dantian. He wanted to ask Sikong Chuyu about the difference in difficulty between advancing from chi refining to essence gathering and from essence gathering to core condensation. He felt that he could make a breakthrough at any time. It was not as scary as Yang Lei and the others said. Love go divided by shao 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 w, a I chu x. Seong when he returned to Bamboo Forest Peak, Sikong Chuyu was washing clothes by the stream. Her hair was a little wet, which proved that she had just taken a bath. Chuyu, I'm back. Night Sorrow shouted when he saw Sikong Chuyu. Sikong Chuyu turned around and looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. Looking at Sikong Chuyu standing by the stream in the breeze, Night Sorrow was a little dazed. Her graceful figure and her proud face with a smile were so warm. Love go shao say w. Chu walking over, Night Sorrow stretched out his arms and hugged Sikong Chuyu. Sikong Chuyu did not resist. Her body gently pressed against Night Sorrow's chest, and the two stood quietly. After a while, the two separated. Sikong Chuyu hung up the washed clothes and then boiled water to make tea. At this time, Tianyu and Silver Fox also came back. Silver Fox was lying on Tianyu's back, looking very obedient. Seeing Night Sorrow, Tianyu glided to Night Sorrow's side and rubbed his head against Night Sorrow's side. Silver Fox also jumped onto Night Sorrow's shoulder. Come down quickly. You can't do this in the future, Night Sorrow said with a smile as he carried Silver Fox down. The two of them have been playing very well recently. Tianyu not only takes Silver Fox with him when he's hunting, but also takes him out to fly when he's free, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. I've been busy cultivating these days, so I didn't accompany them or you, Night Sorrow said. I'm not a child. It's good to cultivate quietly here. You've reached the bottleneck of the energy gathering realm, so you should also cultivate well. Love Go Shao Say W, Quinn Edition, 9th senior sister came the day before yesterday. The leaders of the two groups went to visit her when Grand Elder Hua was there. They made it clear that they didn't mean to offend Medicine Valley. They just came to look for someone. One of them is my sixth uncle, Sikong Tianhua, and the other is Ji Yeming from Ji Yu's family, Sikong Chuyu said. Since they said that they didn't mean to offend Medicine Valley, then they shouldn't reach out to Taishan Peak. Night Sorrow felt a little relieved. It's safe for now. After all, I didn't contact anyone this time, nor did I use Tianji Tower's channels. They have spies in Tianji Tower, so they can't find anything, Sikong Chuyu said. That's good. I'm relieved, Night Sorrow said. This was what he was most worried about. Sikong Chuyu said to Night Sorrow, there's one more thing. They've investigated you and looked into your background. Maybe Chuyu leaked our relationship, so they've turned their attention to you. They want to dig out some information from you. Most /Anu chapter, upper 9Q hearing this news, Night Sorrow was a little shocked. If that was the case, then there might be trouble. Sikong Chuyu conveyed Yang Lei's message. 9th senior sister wants you to walk around Danding City. That way, if they see you but not me, they won't stay in Danding City. Alright, I'll accompany you today. Tomorrow, we'll go to Danding City, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Sitting in front of the bamboo house with Sikong Chuyu, Yishuan watched the moon rise and enjoyed the gentle breeze. Night Sorrow asked, Chuyu, a lot of people are stuck at the Dan formation stage. Is this stage really that difficult? Sikong Chuyu said to Night Sorrow, if it's difficult, then it's as difficult as climbing the heavens. Many people can't pass this stage because their chi isn't condensed enough. If you say it's easy, then it's very easy. As long as your chi is condensed enough, then you can naturally form a Dan. The difficulty of advancing depends on your chi's condensed level. The same liquid chi has different levels of condensed chi. Night Sorrow nodded. He was confident in his chi's condensed level. Although his cultivation speed was fast, his chi had been tempered by the energy of Danding Cliff. It was not weak at all. What are you thinking about? Try to break through when you're confident. Don't rush to break through. It'll be troublesome if you enter the false Dan stage. It's a very long process, and it'll delay your growth. Sikong Chuyu was a little worried about Night Sorrow. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would advance too quickly. I understand, Night Sorrow said while holding Sikong Chuyu's hand. You only know how to take advantage of me. Sikong Chuyu blushed under the moonlight. That night, Night Sorrow did not cultivate. He really slept. Of course, he slept by himself. After dawn, Night Sorrow washed up. Sikong Chuyu helped Night Sorrow tie up his hair. Night Sorrow usually used a thin string to tie up his hair. Just as Night Sorrow was about to leave for Danding City, Gong Xian, Aoi, and Yang Lei came over. The three of them did not look good. Ninth senior sister, I was planning to go to Danding City to find you. Why did you come over? Night Sorrow greeted. They left, those bastards, Yang Lei cursed. What happened? Night Sorrow had a bad feeling. They found out that you were from Zhuyuan Town in Tiannan City, so they went to Zhuyuan Town. The villagers there did not reveal any information about you and Sikong. They set fire to Zhuyuan Town and injured Father Gu. Yang Lei's voice was filled with killing intent. Hearing that Father Gu was injured, Night Sorrow's eyes flashed coldly. Who did it? I'm not sure. I only know that the people who went were from Ji Yu's family. I also received the news last night, so I came over early this morning to find you, Yang Lei said. Ah. This is not over. Night Sorrow roared at the sky. We need to go to Zhuyuan Town to check on the situation, Aoi said. I'll go now. Sikong, wait for me here. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu with bloodshot eyes. To Night Sorrow, Father Gu was not only his savior, but also his family. No. I'll go too. I've seen Father twice, and he's been very nice to me. Every time, he would ask me to stay for dinner. He's never treated me as an outsider. Sikong Chuyu shook his head and released his fire phoenix. Don't use your flying demonic beast. It's too eye-catching. Just be my green condor. Aoi said. She planned to go with them. 13. It's not convenient for me to leave Taishan Peak right now. Your 6th senior sister and 9th senior sister will go with you. If anything happens, send a message back. Remember, Taishan Peak will always be behind you, Gong Xian said to Night Sorrow. Thank you, eldest senior brother. I understand. I'll take my leave first. Night Sorrow put the silver fox cub into the beast-taming crystal, then jumped onto Tianyu's back and flew down the bamboo forest peak. Yang Lei, Aoi, and Sikong Chuyu followed closely behind on their green condors. Chapter 227. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/small. We provide you with exciting novels to read. When he arrived at Zhuyuan Town, Night Sorrow realized that he couldn't recognize the place after not seeing it for a while. There were broken bricks and tiles everywhere, and some places were even emitting black smoke. However, many people were cleaning up. Night Sorrow recognized them as the city guards of South Sky City. The villagers of Zhuyuan Town were also cleaning up. Everyone was very calm. Other than the sound of footsteps, there was no other sound in the town. After taking a deep breath, Night Sorrow directly rushed to Papa Gu's bamboo house. When he arrived at the courtyard, Night Sorrow growled angrily. The bamboo house was burned and turned into ruins. Papa Gu was lying in a temporary shack. Uncle Nyo, Auntie Lin, and the rest were in front of the shack. Auntie Lin was holding a bowl of medicine. Night Sorrow slowly walked to the bed in the shack. "Dad, I'm back." Night Sorrow, who reached out to pull Papa Goo, was suddenly stunned. Papa Goo's left shoulder was bare. One of his arms was gone. "Dad, tell me, who did this? Who did this?" Night Sorrow asked with clenched fists. "You're back. It's good that you're back." Papa Goo coughed twice, and a trace of blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Dad has internal injuries. Let me take a look. You go outside and wait." Aoi came into the shack and stood beside Night Sorrow. Yang Lei came in and pulled Night Sorrow out. 13. Calm down. Papa Goo will be fine with 6 senior sisters' help, Yang Lei said as she pulled Night Sorrow, whose breathing was a little unstable. "Night Sorrow, don't worry. Papa Goo will be fine." Uncle Nyo also came over. His arm was also wrapped in thick gauze. "Uncle, are you okay?" Although Night Sorrow's eyes were red, he hadn't lost his mind. "I'm fine. It's just that Papa Goo's situation is a little worse." "The town guards were also injured," Uncle Nyo said. Uncle Nyo then explained the situation to Night Sorrow. "A few days ago, a group of people came to Bamboo Garden Town. They asked this and that in an arrogant and commanding manner. The town's guards came to stop them but were directly injured. In the end, they captured Father Goo and asked about Night Sorrow's recent situation and who Night Sorrow was with. Father Goo naturally didn't reply. In the end, one of his arms was broken and he was beaten up. Then, this group of people set fire to Bamboo Garden Town. Do you know who they are?" Night Sorrow asked. "Yes," the leader said, "I, Ji Yufeng, have seen a lot of tough people. Let's see how tough your bones are." Then, he chopped off Old Man Goo's arm. Uncle Nyo said. "Ji Yufeng, I'll remember that." "Uncle Nyo, Papa Goo isn't free right now. Take this money and rebuild the town." Night Sorrow took out a stack of gold notes and said. "There's no need for that. The people from South Sky City are here. They said that it was their fault for not protecting Bamboo Garden Town well. Therefore, South Sky City will bear all the losses of Bamboo Garden Town," Uncle Nyo said. "What the F***ck have they done?" Night Sorrow roared. "You can't blame them completely. Ji Yu family came too suddenly. Besides, the people from South Sky City couldn't stop them." "It's my fault for being careless," Yang Lei said. "It's all my fault," Sikong Chuyu, who had been standing beside Night Sorrow, said while wiping his tears. "Sikong, it's not your fault. Ji Yu family is too overbearing and despicable. How could they attack ordinary people?" Yang Lei said with hatred. At that moment, Aoi came out and said, "I helped Papa Goo evacuate his stagnated blood and gave him some healing pills. His internal injuries are all healed now. Only his external injuries are left. His severed arm has already been buried. Also, I don't have that kind of elixir that can reconnect a severed limb." Ching Ji said. "Thank you, Sixth Sister," Night Sorrow said. Then, the deputy mayor of South Sky City came to apologize. After all, this was their territory. It was their fault that something like this happened. Iyong *Qjo*8 for free. Do your best to deal with the aftermath. It can only be better than before, not worse. The villagers' losses must be compensated in full. Moreover, it must be done quickly." Yang Lei took out the elder's order and showed it to the vice city lord from South Sky City. "Yes, elder. Today, all the craftsmen from South Sky City will come to rebuild this place." The deputy mayor bowed and left. Night Sorrow returned to the shack. In the shack, Father Goo had already fallen asleep. Yi Shang reached out to cover him with the blanket. Seeing the charred wooden horse beside Papa Goo's bed, Night Sorrow picked it up. He was afraid that Papa Goo would have trouble turning over. Don't move. Uncle Nyo wanted to take it away yesterday, but Papa Goo refused. He snatched it back from the fire with one hand, Auntie Lin said. Night Sorrow's tears fell. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. He put down the wooden horse with trembling hands and turned to leave the shack. His heart was stifled, so he could only go outside to get some fresh air. The craftsmen from South Sky City arrived at noon. Everyone brought some daily necessities. After they arrived, they distributed the daily necessities to the townspeople and began to repair the houses in the town. The first thing they dealt with was Papa Goo's house. Yang Lei made the decision and asked Uncle Nyo to do his best to restore the house to its former state. Night Sorrow, it's my fault for bringing such a disaster to Papa Goo. Standing in front of the yard, Sikong Chuyu said with some self-blame. It's not your fault. It's fate. As long as you guys are fine, I'm happy. These old bones of mine won't die. Papa Goo walked out with one hand on his walking stick. Dad, I'm sorry. Sikong Chuyu turned around and looked at the one-armed Papa Goo. Tears fell like rain. Child, don't be like this. Papa Goo put down his walking stick and patted Sikong Chuyu's shoulder. I'll make Ji-Yu's family pay back 100-fold. Night Sorrow said with a murderous tone. It's all in the past. Girl, don't cry. Go and make us a pot of tea, Papa Goo said. He wanted to change the current atmosphere. Papa Goo, how do you feel? Aoi asked. I feel much better. I'm really sorry for making you guys come here again. Papa Goo looked at Aoi and Yang Lei and said. Papa Goo, please don't say that. You're 13th relative and also ours. This time, Medicine Valley didn't protect Juyuan Town well enough. That's why Juyuan Town suffered such a disaster, Yang Lei said. If it was in the past, it wouldn't have been good to lose an arm. At that time, Night Sorrow was still young. Now that Night Sorrow has grown up, I don't need to do anything, Papa Goo said with a smile. Dad, come with me this time. Night Sorrow planned to bring Papa Goo to Longquan Courtyard. There were servants there and the environment was good. Chapter 228. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow nodded and turned to look at the bamboo hut that the craftsman had repaired. The bamboo house was more or less the same as before. In fact, it was newly built. How could a burnt-down bamboo house be repaired? The courtyard had also been cleaned up, and the walls had been rebuilt with green bricks and red tiles. Night Sorrow, bring my things back. The bamboo house is more comfortable, said Old Man Goo when he saw that the bamboo house was ready. Night Sorrow nodded and went to tear down the shack that Father Goo was temporarily staying in. Then, he placed the bedding and other things sent over from South Sky City into Shinju House. When he came out, Night Sorrow saw Father Goo carrying the wooden horse with one hand and placing it back in its original position. Dad, I'm all grown up. I don't need these anymore. Night Sorrow said as he helped Old Man Goo up. I know you don't need it. When you're not around, looking at the wooden horse makes me feel like I can see you playing on it when you were young. I can feel you by my side, Papa Goo said with a smile. Dad, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have stubbornly insisted on going out. Night Sorrow felt a lump in his throat. Child, what nonsense are you saying? You are destined to belong to the outside world. No one blames you for this matter, because everything in Bamboo Garden Town changed because of you. Love go little say Old Man Goo said. Night Sorrow, do you know? If Bamboo Garden Town doesn't change, then we'll have to rely on hunting for a living. You also know that people from Bamboo Garden Village often die in the mouths of beasts, and there are also frequent attacks from demonic beasts. Everyone is very satisfied with our current life, Uncle Nyo said. Old Nyo, let's not talk about other things. Bring the wine. Old Man Gu said to Uncle Nyo. No, absolutely not. Father Gu, your injuries aren't light and you need to rest for a while. You can't drink during this period. Aoi hurriedly stopped him. No, what should I do if I can't drink it? Mr. Gu was a little depressed when he heard Aoi say that she couldn't drink it. Dad, just bear with it for a few days. It really isn't a good time to drink now, Night Sorrow said. For the next few days, Night Sorrow and the others stayed in Bamboo Garden Village. Yang Lei planned to chase after him, but she gave up because it was impossible for her to catch up with him. Sixth senior sister, is there really no way to solve my Father Gu's condition? Yi Shang stood in the middle of the town and looked at the restored Bamboo Garden town. He was asking about the shattered Dantian. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs.com, it's very difficult. There's only one medicine that can do it. It's called the energy recovery pill. In the history of our medicine valley, we've refined it once, but it's long gone. The main ingredient of the energy recovery pill is the inner core of the energy recovery beast. I've never heard of any energy recovery beast. The energy recovery beast is a rank 5 monster and it's extremely fast. It's very difficult to kill it unless you're a supremacy, but which supremacy would hunt it? Aoi said with a bitter smile. If this continues, I'm worried that Father Gu won't have much lifespan left. Night Sorrow's eyes were a little dim. Tomorrow, I'll refine some energy recovery pills that can improve an ordinary person's physique. It's possible to extend their lifespan, Aoi said. 13. Father Gu just wants to live a normal life. You don't have to think too much, Yang Lei said. I understand. I just want to be filial. Night Sorrow nodded. / only 4, ZD official J version, the other %D all W, yes, Steel, I version, P Night Sorrow and the rest stayed for 7 days. Father Gu began to chase them away. He didn't want Night Sorrow to waste time in Bamboo Garden Town. Moreover, Bamboo Garden Town had returned to normal and was currently being expanded. South Sky City had also sent more guards. Father, are you really not going to leave with me? Night Sorrow tried to persuade Father Gu. I was born here, so I'll stay here when I'm old. Don't worry and cultivate. Be careful in everything you do. Father Gu reminded Night Sorrow. I will. Night Sorrow sighed. He understood Father Gu and knew that once Father Gu decided on something, it was hard to change his mind. Father Gu, take 1 energy recovery pill every 3 days. Aoi, who had released the green condor, reminded Father Gu. Don't worry. I'll remember. I'll have to trouble you guys to take care of Night Sorrow, Father Gu said with a smile. Aoi, Yang Lei, Sikong Chiyu, and Night Sorrow bowed to Father Gu before getting on the back of the flying beast and leaving. Standing on Tianyu's back and looking at Father Gu, who was waving goodbye with his only arm, Night Sorrow's tears fell. That figure was much older than he remembered. Knowing that Night Sorrow was sad, Aoi and the rest didn't say anything. Yang Lei threw a jar of wine to Night Sorrow. After drinking a jar of wine, Yi Shang's mood finally stabilized. He understood that Father Gu needed this kind of life. He had old neighbors and old companions. Even if he really went to the Longquan courtyard, he wouldn't necessarily be happy. They didn't go to Longquan courtyard. Instead, they went directly to Taishan Peak. 13. How's it going? Gong Xian asked when he saw the group. Without needing Night Sorrow to say anything, Yang Lei told him about the situation. Send someone to investigate. If this group of people is still in the Medicine Valley area, chase after them and kill them at all costs, Gong Xian instructed Shi Tianlin, who was beside him. Let's put this matter aside for now. We'll deal with it ourselves when the time comes, Night Sorrow stopped Shi Tianlin. Night Sorrow had his own considerations. He had brought a lot of trouble to the Medicine Valley. If he provoked giants like the Jiyu family and the Sikong family, it would bring an even greater disaster to the Medicine Valley. This was something he didn't want to see. After all, Hua Yunpeng was the only venerable in the Medicine Valley who had just advanced. He still needed time to develop. 13. Gong Xian looked at Night Sorrow and shouted. He could understand Night Sorrow's painstaking efforts. Eldest senior brother, thank you. Night Sorrow said as he bowed. With a sigh, Gong Xian shook his head and didn't say anything else. If Night Sorrow could think of it, how could he not think of it? After saying goodbye to Gong Xian, Night Sorrow and the others arrived at Bamboo Forest Peak. After eating something together, Aoi and Yang Lei left. Chuyu, I'm going to Pill Tripod Cliff to cultivate. It'll take a few days. Take care of yourself, Night Sorrow said to Sikong Chuyu. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You're already doing very well. Sikong Chuyu knew that Night Sorrow was under a lot of pressure now, mainly because the Jiyu family and the Sikong family were too strong. Night Sorrow smiled and hugged Sikong Chuyu. Then, he took Tianyu to Pill Tripod Cliff. After sending Tianyu back, Night Sorrow began to climb the cliff. After returning to the 5,100-meter platform, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. After recovering his energy, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate. This was a process of consolidating his true Qi cultivation base and strengthening his muscle-strengthening realm of the 7th level of the Myriad Tao Treasured Tome. This cultivation session lasted for 4 or 5 days. Night Sorrow felt his Myriad Tao Treasured Tome increase, but his true Qi cultivation base didn't have any reaction at all. The degree of true Qi condensation didn't change for 2 or 3 days. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow felt that this was a sign of true Qi condensation reaching its limit. It couldn't continue to condense. Chapter 229. Genius 1 second. Remember, love divided by go divided by little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow made the decision to break through to the core condensation stage. Since he could no longer increase the condensation of his true Qi, it would be a waste of time to continue cultivating. It was meaningless. At this time, the sky was dark, and no one would continue to climb the cliff. There was no one else on Danding Cliff. Who could be like him, who could cultivate on Danding Cliff indefinitely? Night Sorrow took out the wine jar and drank 2 mouthfuls. When he wanted to drink more, he remembered Sikong Chuyu's words and put away the wine jar. He came to the platform 5,000 meters high and felt the night breeze, stabilizing his mood. After a while, Night Sorrow sat down cross-legged and began to circulate his true Qi, stabilizing it and preparing to enter the core condensation stage. If others knew that Night Sorrow had broken through to the peak of element gathering stage in less than half a month, they would definitely think that Night Sorrow was greedy for merit. However, Night Sorrow knew that he could no longer increase the condensation of his true Qi. After stabilizing his cultivation for half an hour, Night Sorrow began to compress the liquid true Qi in his dantian. When Qi refining stage entered element gathering stage, it was necessary to compress the gaseous true Qi into a liquid state. When element gathering stage entered core condensation stage, it was necessary to condense the liquid true Qi into a solid state, which was to condense it into a Dan bead. Night Sorrow controlled the liquid true Qi to compress toward the center of his dantian. Only when it was compressed to the extreme would there be a qualitative change. Love go little say W. Chu. This was very difficult. The quality of the liquid true Qi was already very high. It was not easy to improve it further. Time slipped away little by little. The volume of the true qi in Night Sorrow's dantian became smaller and smaller. It had already become a gelatinous state. 2 hours, 4 hours. Night Sorrow kept compressing his true qi, controlling the true qi in his dantian to rotate quickly. He kept compressing the liquid true qi in his dantian toward the center of his dantian, where the gelatinous true qi was located. This state was the state of a fake pill. Many people were stuck here because their true qi was not condensed enough to form a real pill. In the later stages, they had to constantly polish and condense their true qi to solidify. This was a time-consuming and laborious process. Of course, Night Sorrow knew what the current situation was. He didn't dare to be careless and tried his best to invade the gelatinous true qi. The gelatinous true qi became more and more solid, and the true qi in Night Sorrow's dantian became less and less. 6 hours, 8 hours, time passed very quickly, and the true qi in Night Sorrow's dantian slowly disappeared. All of it entered the gelatinous true qi in the core of his dantian. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. Xiom now, it could be said that it was no longer gelatinous true qi. It had already taken the embryonic form of a dan bead, which was the size of a pigeon egg. Night Sorrow wanted to compress all the irregular gelatinous true qi around the dan bead into the dan bead. The sky was already bright, and Night Sorrow was also at the final moment of breakthrough. With a low roar in Night Sorrow's heart, the last bit of gelatinous true qi was squeezed into the dan bead by Night Sorrow. When the last bit of gelatinous true qi disappeared and was all compressed into the dan bead in Night Sorrow's dantian shook and then began to operate. Then, it released a trace of mist towards Night Sorrow's dantian, which was the true qi released by the dan bead. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. Com the dan bead began to rotate, and Night Sorrow's aura also changed. At this time, he was no longer a yuan gathering stage cultivator, but a third-order core condensation stage cultivator. After opening his eyes, Night Sorrow got up and began to cultivate on the platform at a height of 5,100 meters. While stabilizing his core condensation stage cultivation, he also increased his myriad Tao tome cultivation to the peak of 7th level muscle strengthening stage. After cultivating for 2 more days, Night Sorrow completely stabilized his core condensation stage cultivation, and after cultivating the myriad Tao tome to the peak of 7th level muscle strengthening stage, he stood up. After standing up, Night Sorrow saw Tianyu flying outside the Dan Ding cliff with the silver fox cub on his back, and then he let out a long howl. Tianyu came here once a day. When he heard Night Sorrow's howl, Tianyu flew to the periphery of Night Sorrow's location. Night Sorrow jumped up and directly landed on Tianyu's back, then he controlled Tianyu to descend. Although he didn't need to register and didn't need to spend merit points, he still needed to greet Elder Su when he came or left. This was a courtesy. At the bottom of the Dan Ding cliff, Night Sorrow jumped off Tianyu and bowed to Elder Su. Elder Su, disciple has to go back first. Core condensation stage. How long have you been in the peak of yuan gathering stage? You dare to break through to the core condensation stage, child. You are too reckless. Fortunately, you succeeded, otherwise the consequences would be serious. Seeing Night Sorrow's cultivation, Elder Su was shocked at first, then he was scared. If Night Sorrow failed to break through and entered the pseudo-core stage, it would take several years to cross this gap, and even the most outstanding genius would be buried. Fortunately, Night Sorrow succeeded. Elder Su, don't worry, I'm sure. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Child, you are too crazy, you can't be like this in the future, hurry up and see the Valley Master. The Valley Master will also scold you. Elder Su said with a smile, after the fear, he was happy. Night Sorrow was young, and his cultivation time was short, but he was strong in fighting. After crossing this step, it would be another period of rapid improvement. Elder Su, take this wine. Leaving a jar of wine for Elder Su, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and left. Night Sorrow didn't go to the Danding Peak, he didn't want to disturb Yu Yangyu because of this. In Night Sorrow's heart, this was a breakthrough. He didn't realize how difficult it was to go from the Yuan gathering stage to the core condensation stage. Night Sorrow didn't go to the Tai Xian temple, and directly returned to the bamboo forest peak. After getting off Tianyu, Night Sorrow saw Sikong Chuyu meditating on a futon in front of the bamboo house. Feeling Night Sorrow's aura, Sikong Chuyu opened his eyes and stood up. Core condensation stage. You went to break through, didn't you say you were going to cultivate? I was cultivating, and I felt like I was about to break through. Night Sorrow said as he sat down. That was a bit rash. You should know that this is a very important transformation for a cultivator. Once you fail, you will have to spend a lot of energy to make up for it. In many powers, no matter how good a member is, once they enter the fake core stage, they will be abandoned and won't be focused on. Sikong Chuyu said. I feel that the time is right, I won't joke about my cultivation. Night Sorrow said. I know you are under a lot of pressure, but you have to promise me that you will not be so impulsive in the future, you will discuss things with me more. Also, I want to congratulate you for crossing a big hurdle. Sikong Chuyu looked at Night Sorrow's messy hair, and suddenly felt sorry for him. I will, let's make a pot of tea. Night Sorrow said with a smile. To be able to see Sikong Chuyu smile, training hard was nothing to him. N head X, GV, okay. We will make some dishes later, and drink to celebrate later. Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Chapter 230. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Hearing that Night Sorrow had entered the core condensation stage, enlightenment and the others stopped cultivating at Danding Cliff and went straight to Taishian Peak to drink with Night Sorrow. This was a big deal. Senior sister Lanyu, you've finally made it. Senior brother Yun Shao has entered the core condensation stage, Martial Uncle Yi has also entered the core condensation stage. If he didn't enter the core condensation stage, I don't know how long he would suppress us. Feng Yan said with a smile. If Night Sorrow succeeded, Lan Yu would be first on the list. Ha! It hasn't been easy for me. I must have a good drink today. Lan Yu said excitedly. I don't know what you're so excited about. Don't you feel that the gap between you and Martial Uncle Yi is getting bigger? Enlightenment looked at them with a smile and poured cold water on them. Martial Uncle Yi is too much of a beast. After entering the core condensation stage, the road ahead is smooth. It doesn't matter if the gap is big. I won't compete with him, I'll compete with you. Shi Yunhai was quite optimistic. Yes, it's time for those guys on the pill list to have a headache. It won't be long before the pill list becomes a mess. Martial Uncle Yi has broken through, we must celebrate. Feng Yan was also quite excited. When they passed by the Taishian Hall, they met Aoi who came out of the Taishian Hall. Stop! You bastards, why aren't you cultivating? What are you doing at Taishian Peak? Aoi stopped them. They were heading towards the bamboo forest peak. Aoi knew that it wasn't convenient for Sikong Chuyu to show up. Martial Uncle Aoi, we're here to celebrate Martial Uncle Yi. Feng Yan bowed to Aoi and said. What's there to celebrate? Your Martial Uncle Yi is in a bad mood recently. He's very angry. Aoi glared at Feng Yan. Entering the core condensation stage, isn't such a good thing worth celebrating? Shi Yunhai whispered. He felt that the people of Taishian Peak were too abnormal. What? What do you mean by entering the core condensation stage? Aoi didn't hear clearly, so she asked back. Martial Uncle Yi has entered the core condensation stage. Doesn't Martial Uncle Aoi know? Lan Yu asked. 13 entered the core condensation stage. That's impossible. He only reached the peak of element gathering stage a few days ago. Who told you this? Aoi shook her head. She, Night Sorrow, and the others had just returned from Zhuyuan town a few days ago. She understood Night Sorrow's situation. She originally planned to tell Night Sorrow that she was accompanying the Sikong Chuyu and let Night Sorrow go to the Longquan courtyard to consolidate his cultivation. What's going on? Gong Xian and Hua Nan also came out of the main hall. Those bastards came to drink with 13, and they even came up with the reason that 13 entered the core condensation stage to celebrate. Aoi said. Martial Uncle Aoi, we didn't say that. It was Elder Su of Danding Cliff who said that Martial Uncle Yi was in the core condensation stage when he left this morning. Feng Yan said with a depressed face. Oh. Is it true? Let's go and see. Aoi heard that it was Elder Su who said it, so she knew that it might be true. Riding the Green Eagle, Aoi and Gong Xian arrived at the bamboo forest peak. When they arrived, they saw Night Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu eating. He really entered the core condensation stage. Gong Xian looked at Night Sorrow from head to toe. You bastard, you really dare to mess around. Aoi went up and slapped Night Sorrow on the shoulder. Sixth senior sister, why are you all scolding me? I've been cultivating for a few days, and I found that my chi didn't change at all. There's no point in continuing to condense it. Isn't it a waste of time if I don't break through? Night Sorrow was a little confused. Sikong, when the enlightenment people come, you should hide. Safety is the most important. Aoi ignored Night Sorrow's explanation and turned to Sikong Chuyu and said. Okay, then I'll go out for a walk. Sikong Chuyu stretched out his hand to summon the silver fox cub and left the bamboo garden peak. 13. Does Master know about your breakthrough? Gong Xian sat down and asked. No, it's not a big matter, so I won't disturb Master. Night Sorrow said. It's not a big matter. It's a big matter, you know. When us brothers and sisters enter the core condensation stage, Master is always by our side. This transformation directly affects our future achievements. Fortunately, you made it through. Gong Xian looked at Night Sorrow and shook his head helplessly. Then, the enlightenment people came over and greeted Gong Xian and Aoi. Martial Aunt Aoi, look, Martial Aunt Night Sorrow really entered the core condensation stage. We didn't lie. After greeting them, Feng Yan said. Okay, you guys chat. 13. Remember to visit Master when you have time, Gong Xian said to Night Sorrow and left with Aoi. Eldest senior brother, 13 is too reckless. How long has it been since he entered the peak of the essence gathering stage? He dares to break through to the core condensation stage. Aoi was a little scared. Look at the original version, Chapter A, Section O. 13 isn't a reckless person. His cultivation path is different from ordinary people. Well, this is something to be happy about, Gong Xian said with a smile. Enlightenment and the others drank for a while before leaving. Although they didn't say anything, Night Sorrow's breakthrough gave them a lot of pressure. Only after they left did Sikong Chuyu return. Sikong, I've wronged you. Night Sorrow said apologetically. How could you say that? I'm not wronged at all. Sikong Chuyu smiled. After tidying up, Sikong Chuyu didn't let Night Sorrow accompany him to chat. Instead, he let Night Sorrow stabilize his cultivation. After returning to his room, Night Sorrow thought for a moment and then went to break through the Myriad Tao scripture. He wanted to raise the Myriad Tao scripture's cultivation to the 8th level of the muscle strengthening realm. To reach the 8th level of the muscle strengthening realm, he needed to strengthen his chest and abdomen tendons. This level wasn't very difficult. All he needed to do was accumulate enough energy. Once he had enough energy, he could strengthen his tendons and abdomen. After 4 hours, Night Sorrow finished strengthening his chest and abdomen tendons and entered the 8th level of the Myriad Tao scripture. Night Sorrow was now confident that if he were to face Lin Jingyi's kick again, he wouldn't end up in such a sorry state. Feeling refreshed, Night Sorrow went to take a bath. The Myriad Tao scripture's advancement was too painful. It was so painful that he was covered in sweat. After taking a bath, Night Sorrow sat in the courtyard for a while. While Night Sorrow was sitting, Sikong Chuyu also came out. She had heard the commotion outside. Night Sorrow, why did you get up? Sikong Chuyu looked at Night Sorrow. I went to take a bath. It's cold at night, so why did you come out? Night Sorrow put his outer robe on Sikong Chuyu. Night Sorrow, our path is our own. As long as we're happy, it's fine. I don't want you to feel too much pressure, said Sikong Chuyu as she leaned on Night Sorrow's shoulder. Chuyu, being with you makes me feel at ease and fulfilled. I don't care how strong Ji-Yu's family is. I'll go find them. Not only for you, but also for father's right arm, said Night Sorrow. That's right. I have something to ask you. That day, 9th senior apprentice sister said you took advantage of her. She told me everything. Sikong Chuyu changed the topic. Chapter 231. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. 9th senior sister doesn't mind. Sikong Chuyu said in a low voice. Night Sorrow didn't know what to say and didn't continue to explain. Some things can't be explained clearly. The two sat for a while and then went back to cultivate. After the night passed, Yishan woke up early to practice his movement, spear art, and fist art. Night Sorrow's Shinchi entered the core condensation stage and his Myriad Tao tone reached the 8th level of the muscle strengthening stage. His movement and battle skills needed to adapt to his new cultivation. He cultivated for the whole morning. Night Sorrow's spear, movement, and fist arts were also integrated with his cultivation. Night Sorrow, you should go to Tianji Tower and let the Tianjin Tower know about your recent situation. You entered the core condensation stage so quickly and filled your body with blood qi. These are all your strengths. If you show your strengths, it will be beneficial for the Tianjin Tower's assessment. Sikong Chuyu said to Night Sorrow. That's good. I'll be back soon. Night Sorrow nodded. He felt that Sikong Chuyu's words were reasonable. This was indeed his strength. Riding on Tianyu, Night Sorrow left. Standing on an ancient tree on Taishan Peak, Hua Yunping watched Night Sorrow leave and didn't continue to follow. He already knew that Night Sorrow entered the Tianjin Tower, so he felt that the Golden Flame sect wouldn't dare to hunt down Night Sorrow. After all, the Golden Flame sect was nothing in front of the Tianjin Tower. Riding on Tianyu, Night Sorrow directly went to Yang Lei's mansion. He wanted to see Yang Lei first and then do other things. Seeing that Night Sorrow's cultivation had reached the core condensation stage, Yang Lei's attitude was the same as always. She directly yelled, blaming Night Sorrow for being too impulsive. Night Sorrow was very conflicted. Now, everyone said the same thing when they saw him break through. However, he also knew that everyone was concerned about him and wanted his own good. Then, Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Are you angry? 9th senior sister's words are a bit harsh, but you really can't be rash. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, I'm not angry. You have to believe me. I won't joke about cultivation. My words were indeed harsh. It's my fault. How about this? I'll treat you to a good meal. Yang Lei put her arm around Night Sorrow's shoulder and said, I'm going to take a walk around Tianji Tower, and then we'll go eat, Night Sorrow said. Yes. You're walking on this path now. Any qualifications are very important. Let's go and have a look. Yang Lei understood Night Sorrow's meaning and also knew that it was necessary. While Yang Lei was chatting with Night Sorrow, Gong Xian also arrived at the Danding Hall and reported to Yang Yu about Night Sorrow's breakthrough. This made the first elder and second elder very surprised. Then, Gong Xian said that Aoi had already scolded Night Sorrow. 13 has been cultivating at Danding Cliff during this time. His cultivation isn't superficial. Maybe he really feels that he's mature enough. Your 13th junior brother isn't stupid. Yang Yu said. His cultivation speed is too fast. In the future, he shouldn't participate in the competition between newcomers. Just give him merit points. If he participates, there's no way for newcomers to survive. Qian Wu said with a smile. Don't talk about him when you go back. You're doing it for his own good, but it will also bring pressure to him. Yang Yu said to Gong Xian. Night Sorrow left Yang Lei's mansion and went to Tianji Tower. Seeing Night Sorrow, Enforcer Dong was very happy and very polite. Although Night Sorrow didn't work at Tianji Tower, his status had already surpassed Enforcer Dong's. Yin Shuan and Zhao Qing had already informed him that Night Sorrow had become the focus of Black Group and asked him to pay attention to all information about Night Sorrow. In addition, if Night Sorrow had something to do, Tianji Tower's Danding City also had to cooperate with him. Not bad. You've cultivated to the core condensation realm. The energy contained in your body is much stronger than before. Enforcer Dong said. I've had some breakthroughs recently. Night Sorrow nodded. Tianji Tower already knows what the Jiyu family did in Juyuan Town. If the Jiyu family comes to Medicine Valley again, they will be expelled. Enforcer Dong said to Night Sorrow. So, this is the order from Tianji Tower? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. Yes, it's the order from the headquarters. Originally, the Jiyu family was still lingering around this area. They were looking for our young miss, but because they had crossed the line in Bamboo Garden Town, the higher-ups ordered them to leave this area. They should know that they can't touch Bamboo Garden Town, Enforcer Dong said. I understand. If you have the chance, please express my gratitude for me. Night Sorrow cupped his hands to Enforcer Dong. No problem. I'll report the situation here in detail. If you need any help, just let me know. Enforcer Dong said to Night Sorrow. How about this? Tianji Tower is well informed. As long as the Sikong family and the Jiyu family come to Eastern Xian Domain, can you inform me as soon as possible? Night Sorrow said. Yes, it's impossible for them to cross the domain without a word. Tianji Tower will know immediately. I'll inform the higher-ups. Also, if you need anything, you can contact Lord Zhao Qing directly. Enforcer Dong said to Night Sorrow. Nothing. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't need to contact Lord Zhao Qing. He came here today to let Tianji Tower know about his progress. There was no other meaning. Of course, to know in advance that the Sikong family and the Jiyu family would come to Eastern Xian Domain was what Night Sorrow wanted. After leaving Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei found a restaurant to eat. Danding City has stabilized. I can go back to Taishan Peak. If you have time, you can go to Ninth Senior Sister's place. Yang Lei poured a bowl of wine for Night Sorrow and said. Ninth Senior Sister is going back. I was planning to come over. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Don't you plan to continue to accompany your Chuyu? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. She didn't expect Night Sorrow to make such a decision. Yi Shang told him about his request at the Celestial Terminus Tower. That's right. You will be the first to know when people from the Gu family and the Sikong family come. This way, the Longquan courtyard will be relatively safe and suitable for cultivation. Yang Lei understood Night Sorrow's meaning. I see. If I need to go to Danding Cliff to cultivate, I will ride Tianyu back. The rest of the time, I plan to cultivate in the Longquan courtyard. Night Sorrow nodded. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation /part 7_x, okay, I will send people to keep an eye out for outsiders. As long as outsiders come to Danding City, they will inform us immediately. Then, Sikong family's safety will be no problem. Also, I will ask 6th senior sister to come over and set up some formations around the Longquan courtyard. Then, nothing will go wrong. Yang Lei added. After eating with Yang Lei, Night Sorrow left. He planned to talk to Yu Yangyu and then take Sikong Chuyu to the Longquan courtyard to cultivate. Most importantly, he wanted to continue to do missions. Silver missions aside, he could continue to sweep the bronze missions. Night Sorrow didn't say these words to anyone. Since there was a Heaven's Fate assessment, he would continue. He wanted to go to the Qingtian domain. Tianji Tower provided this opportunity, so he had to cherish it. Chapter 232. Genius 1 second. Remember, love divided by go divided by little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. After returning to the Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow immediately went to the Danding Hole. Other than the disciples on duty, Night Sorrow did not see anyone else in the Danding Hole. After asking around, Night Sorrow found out that Yu Yangyu did not come today. Night Sorrow then went to Yu Yangyu's residence, a quaint attic on Danding Peak. When Night Sorrow arrived, Yu Yangyu was meditating. Greetings, Master. Night Sorrow bowed slightly. Have a seat. Yu Yangyu opened his eyes and pointed to a futon beside him. Night Sorrow nodded and sat down cross-legged. You haven't been here for a few days. You look good and your foundation is solid. Yu Yangyu looked at Night Sorrow and said. Master, you're not angry. Night Sorrow was already prepared to be scolded by Yu Yangyu. Do you think that if your senior brothers and sisters scolded you, I will scold you as well? Actually, that's not the case. On the path of cultivation, the master is just a guide. Everyone's situation is different. The one who understands the situation the best is still yourself. If you try to break through, I will think that you have confidence. Walk your own path and don't mind what others say. Love go little say Wang, Chuyu Yangyu said with a smile. He could see that Night Sorrow was being reserved. Yu Yangyu valued being strong in front of opponents and humble in front of people around him. Night Sorrow not only respected him, but also respected every senior brother and sister. Yes, I can't continue to condense my chi. Instead of wasting time, I might as well break through. Night Sorrow nodded. That proves that you are not impulsive and reckless. Why don't you explain to your senior brothers and sisters? Yu Yangyu asked. He knew Night Sorrow well. Night Sorrow was not the kind of person who would change his mind with just a few words. Night Sorrow looked at Yu Yangyu and thought for a while. No matter what senior brothers and sisters say, it's for my own good. Even if I feel that it's wrong, I can't refute it. Yu Yangyu nodded in satisfaction. It's right for you to think and do this. Regardless of whether it's right or wrong, you have to accept our kindness. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. Every time I accept a disciple, my heart is filled with worry. Every one of you is very determined, and your way of doing things is very different. I'm worried that you will have differences and affect the harmony and friendship. But no matter how many times I worry, it's unnecessary. No matter how different your personalities and beliefs are, you all place great importance on the friendship between senior brothers and sisters. This is what I am most gratified about. Yu Yangyu said with a smile. Knight Sorrow's heart trembled. He could feel the good intentions behind Yu Yangyu's words. However, you have to remember the lessons of your predecessors. They are all words of experience. Yu Yangyu reminded Knight Sorrow. After all, Knight Sorrow was still young. I understand. Master, I plan to go to the Dragon Spring Courtyard to train. It's closer to Danding City, and I can do some missions when I have time. Knight Sorrow said his purpose for coming here. Then what about Sikong? You can't just leave her at Bamboo Garden Peak, right? She's a good girl. Her cultivation, temperament, and figure are all excellent. She has a good temperament. She comes from a big family, but she's not arrogant. Her cultivation talent is also very frightening. Your senior brothers and senior sisters can't compare to her in terms of talent. Yu Yangyu said. He had a very high opinion of Sikong Chuyu. Yishang told Lu Yangyu what had happened this time. Lu Yangyu also knew about his situation in the Celestial Terminus Tower. If your safety is not a problem, then go. I will also be in seclusion for a while. Yu Yangyu nodded to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow bowed and left the pavilion. After listening to Yu Yangyu's words, he felt a lot better. After leaving Danding Peak, Knight Sorrow rode on Tianyu to Taishian Hole. However, he missed again. He didn't see any senior brothers or sisters. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow came to the bamboo grove. When he arrived, Knight Sorrow saw that Gong Xian, Wu Qi, Huanan, and Aoi were all drinking tea together. Senior brothers, you're all here. Yi Shan greeted them. Yes. If you have nothing to do, come sit with your sixth senior sister. Since you're back from Danding City, you can go visit Master later. Gong Xian pointed to an empty chair and said. After Knight Sorrow sat down, he took a sip of tea from Aoi and said, Big senior brother, I just came back from Master's place. Then Master will inevitably reprimand you. Qing Ji said with some schadenfreude. Sixth junior sister, I think Master can't bear to scold 13. Hua Nan said with a smile. All of them loved Knight Sorrow dearly. He knew that Yu Yangyu was the same. Tell me, did Master scold you? Wu Qi asked anxiously. Master said that everyone's path is different. Walk your own path and don't mind what others say. Knight Sorrow repeated Yu Yangyu's words. Miss Qing choked on the mouthful of tea that she had just drunk. Cough. Pampering, Master is pampering me. If you pamper 13 so much, why didn't you pamper me before? After hearing Aoi's words, Gong Xian and the others laughed. Then, Gong Xian asked Knight Sorrow about his next plan. Knight Sorrow told him his plan. He would do missions in the first half of every month and return to Danding Cliff to cultivate in the second half. Okay, if anyone bullies you, come back and look for me. Gong Xian said. Sigh, another one who's willing to spoil. Big senior brother, you're making our other junior brothers and sisters feel bad. Aoi sighed and joked. Okay. Then I don't care. If 13 is bullied, you can deal with him. Gong Xian glanced at Aoi and said. After chatting for a while, they parted ways. Aoi told Gong Xian that she would bring her disciples to Longquan Courtyard. Knight Sorrow rode Tianyu back to Bamboo Forest Peak. Seeing that Yi Shang had returned, Sikong Chuyu stopped cultivating her swordsmanship. While drinking tea, Knight Sorrow told him his decision. Okay, does Longquan Courtyard have a room for me? Sikong Chuyu asked with a smile. Of course, your loft hasn't been moved. If you don't like it, you can move to the main building. Night Sorrow said. In your dreams. You're staying in the main building and you're asking me to move over. I didn't know you were so naughty. Sikong Chuyu said with a red face. After hearing Sikong Chuyu's words, Night Sorrow was stunned. He really didn't think so much. His original intention was that if Sikong Chuyu liked the main building, he could move out. Seeing that Night Sorrow was in a daze, Sikong Chuyu said in an almost inaudible voice, "What's wrong?" "I don't mean anything. I just feel that it's too awkward." Night Sorrow shook his head and hugged Sikong Chuyu. Chapter 233. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and helped him tidy up his hair that was messed up by the wind. When I'm qualified, I'll go and meet your parents. Don't worry, my parents don't care about family background. They said before that as long as I like it, they will like it, Sikong Chuyu said in a low voice. After tidying up, Night Sorrow took Sikong Chuyu and flew towards Danding City on Tianyu. Tianyu was completely different from a year ago. With a flap of his wings, he could travel hundreds of feet. Standing on Tianyu's back with Night Sorrow, Sikong Chuyu looked at Tianyu and said, "Night Sorrow, your Tianyu is very strong. Not long ago, he killed a peak rank 3 black iron python. It was a complete victory and there were no wounds on his body. He's much more ferocious than me." Night Sorrow said with a smile. "When you were cultivating at Danding Cliff, Tianyu and I often went out for a walk with this little guy. I saw Tianyu kill many snakes and pythons and swallow their guts. That's why he grew so fast." The little guy Sikong Chuyu was talking about was the silver fox cub. The silver fox cub's size didn't change, but it was no longer weak. Its running speed was extremely fast. Ordinary small prey couldn't escape from its hunt. "What's Tianyu's cultivation level now?" Night Sorrow asked. All this time, he hadn't seen Tianyu's cultivation level clearly. In other words, Tianyu's cultivation level had always been much higher than his. Peak rank 5 core condensation realm. He's a talented demon beast. His cultivation speed is much faster than humans. They are all favored by the heavens. Now that he's flying, he's also absorbing the energy in the wind. Sikong Chuyu said. 5th level of the core condensation stage, how can it be so fast? Night Sorrow was stunned. The last time Tianyu had broken through to the element gathering tier was when he went to exterminate the mountain bandits. Not much time had passed since then. You can advance quickly, but Tianyu can't. If his bloodline awakens, then Tianyu's achievements will be immeasurable. There are many talented demonic beasts, but there are too few who possess the bloodline of ancient beasts. Not to mention, Tianyu possesses the bloodline of ancient Azure Pang and Black Awan, Sikong Chuyu explained to Night Sorrow. JX is the newest. KP on chapter, I know. I've read about it in the ancient records, but the higher the grade of the bloodline, the harder it is to awaken. I hope Tianyu's path will be smoother. Yishan looked down at Tianyu and said. Let's go, Yishan said as he looked down at Tianyu. In Night Sorrow's eyes, Tianyu wasn't a tamed beast, but rather a companion who had grown up with him. That's true. However, awakening his bloodline will be terrifying. Many of the top forces in the North Sea and the realm of unbounded desolation are formed by demonic beasts. Although their civilization isn't as advanced as that of other realms, the two realms have a fierce atmosphere. Many of their experts are demonic beasts, and possess formidable battle prowess. Sikong Chuyu said. So you're saying that the North Sea and the realm of unbounded desolation are dominated by demonic beasts? Night Sorrow asked in astonishment. Not exactly. There are still powerful human experts, but each of them occupies half of the world. After all, humans have a civilization of cultivation, which demonic beasts can't compete with. Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Does the Tianji Tower have forces in the North Sea and the realm of unbounded desolation? Night Sorrow asked. Of course they do, Sikong Chuyu explained to Night Sorrow. It's all thanks to the seniors of the Tianji Tower. According to historical records, the seniors of the Tianji Tower once fought with the powerful demonic beasts of the two realms. After the battle, the demonic beasts retreated, allowing the Tianji Tower's forces to expand into the two realms. Furthermore, the demonic beasts weren't allowed to provoke the Tianji Tower's forces. Night Sorrow nodded. He could imagine how fierce the battle had been, and how mighty the seniors of the Tianji Tower had been. As they chatted, the two of them arrived at the Dragon Spring courtyard. Night Sorrow asked Little Six to prepare some barbecued meat for Tianyu, and handed the silver fox cubs to Hai Luo and Luo Wei. Then, he accompanied Sikong Chuyu to check out the rooms. Everything is still the same. Nothing has changed. It seems like you were planning to wait for me to come back, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Of course. Danding City shouldn't be the target of the Jiyu clan and the Sikong clan. You should be safe now, Night Sorrow said. It's not as serious as you think. I just need to buy some time. Those uncles are no match for my father. After my father takes care of those people, no one in the Sikong clan will be able to force me to do something I don't want to do, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Yes, I hope Uncle can take care of these things smoothly, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry. Our clan's great ancestor likes me very much and supports my father. During this period of time, our great ancestor has been in seclusion. Therefore, some of the clan's elders have begun to get restless and want to support some of their favorite successors. Without our great ancestor's support, my father is not someone they can defeat. When our great ancestor comes out of seclusion, the result will be obvious, Sikong Chuyu said confidently. Just as Night Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu were chatting, someone arrived at the Dragon Spring courtyard. It was Yang Lei and her disciples. He Miao, Xiang Ding, didn't you all want to see your 13th martial uncle? Now that you've seen him, hurry up and greet him, Yang Lei shouted at the disciples behind her. Disciple He Miao greets 13th martial uncle. He Miao, who was wearing the uniform of an elite disciple of the Medicine Valley, bowed and said. Disciple Xiang Ding greets 13th martial uncle. The dignified Xiang Ding cupped his fists and said. He was the guy who had angered Yi Xiling back then. No need to be so polite. Ziming, arrange a place for them to stay, Night Sorrow said to Yang Lei's eldest disciple, Jiang Ziming. All of you, listen up. This is your 13th martial uncle's private courtyard. Because of the natural formation, cultivating here is twice the result with half the effort. If you all make this place look like a pigsty, then scram as soon as possible, Yang Lei shouted at her disciples. Ninth senior sister, it's fine. Don't scare them, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Don't worry, 13th martial uncle. We will definitely be self-disciplined. I admire 13th martial uncle the most, He Miao said with a smile. Alright, let's go and have some tea. Let them tidy up themselves. Yang Lei put her arm around Night Sorrow's shoulder and walked towards the main hall of the main building. Night Sorrow turned around and nodded at Jiang Ziming, He Miao, and Xiang Ding before following Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu to the main hall. Eldest senior brother, what's going on? Master is so fierce, but he's on such good terms with 13th martial uncle now. He Miao asked as he watched Yang Lei and Night Sorrow leave with their arms around each other's shoulders. Currently, under Yang Lei's tutelage, Jiang Ziming was the eldest senior brother. He Miao was the second disciple, and Xiang Ding was the sixth. There were some people who were older than Jiang Ziming, but they weren't from the same batch. They could only obediently be the younger ones. I feel that their relationship isn't ordinary, another disciple said. Chapter 234. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Are you tired of living? You dare to talk about master? Jiang Ziming was furious and glared at them. Seeing Jiang Ziming's anger, he meowed and the others didn't dare to say anything. Yang Lei returned to the courtyard's hall and sat down. 13. Sikong, don't worry. There are no problems with the disciples I brought. After they entered the sect carefully investigated their backgrounds. Su Chenbai's matter won't happen. I also warned them that without my orders, they are not allowed to take half a step out of the courtyard. It's fine as long as senior apprentice sister has arranged it. Knight Sorrow nodded. He was also worried about this problem. Even if Yang Lei didn't mention it, he would have stressed this problem. At night, Aoya came and brought the disciples with her. She also planned to stay in the Longquan courtyard for a long time. She also told Knight Sorrow about the disciples. At night, Sikong Chuyu and Knight Sorrow stood by Skywater Lake, enjoying the tranquility. Knight Sorrow, Sikong Chuyu muttered as he leaned on Knight Sorrow's shoulder. I'm listening. Go on. Knight Sorrow reached out to support Sikong Chuyu's waist. What if there are women who like you in the future? Sikong Chuyu whispered. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. No, I'm poor. No one will like me. Knight Sorrow patted Sikong Chuyu's shoulder. You can't see your own merits, but others can. Sikong Chuyu shook his head. But the one I like is you. Knight Sorrow seriously looked at Sikong Chuyu. I understand. I'm not an unreasonable person. I just hope that no matter what happens, you won't forget your original intentions. Sikong Chuyu said. Chuyu, what's wrong? I feel like something's wrong with you. Knight Sorrow said using Sikong Chuyu. No, I'm very happy after hearing what you said. Sikong Chuyu smiled. And don't think too much. Knight Sorrow lightly patted Sikong Chuyu's shoulder and then sent Sikong Chuyu back to the pavilion before returning to the main building to cultivate. Knight Sorrow didn't feel anything, but Sikong Chuyu was sensitive. She felt that Yang Lei and Knight Sorrow's relationship. That was why she said words today. In this world where the strong were respected, many men had 3 wives and 4 concubines, especially outstanding men. In the Sikong family, there were many men who married many women. Sikong Chuyu also had a few concubines, but his father and mother were very close. In addition, Ji Yuhao also had a few wives, and he also shamelessly came to the Sikong family to propose marriage. Sikong Chuyu didn't reject Knight Sorrow's relationship with other women, but he was a little worried. After returning to his room, Knight Sorrow ate a top-grade spirit congealing pill and a leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill and began cultivating. He was now different from before. Previously, when his Shen Qi reached the first level of advancement, he didn't dare to cultivate quickly because he was worried that his foundation would be unstable. Now, this problem didn't exist. While Yi Shang was cultivating, Eastern Xian region, Jiao Qing was handing a letter to Yin Shui in a room in the headquarters of the Heaven's Terminus Tower in Dongxian City. Yin Shui was sitting opposite and to her side. Yin Shui opened the letter and read it, then nodded. Continue to pay attention. Arrange for more spies to pay attention to the Realm Sea tomorrow. If people from the Ji family and Sikong family come, notify him immediately. This subordinate understands. Jiao Qing nodded. What's wrong? A letter from the Medicine Valley branch. Asked an old man. Take a look at the letter. The tower master isn't here, So let's discuss this matter and see what we can do. Yin Shui handed the letter to the old man with black and white hair. Ordinary people would have black and white hair when they grew old, but this old man didn't. He had a lock of white hair in his black hair. He was Lei Hua, the deputy tower master of the Tianji Tower. After reading the letter, Lei Hua handed it to another middle-aged man. Ho Yuan, take a look. The middle-aged man took the letter and looked at it, then nodded. In less than a year and a half, he entered the core condensation stage. He has an extremely strong ability to fight above his level, can refine pills, and has a strong body. This little guy is not bad. The man called Ho Yuan by Lei Hua said. +1 star. Yin Shui asked. This king has no objection. Lei Hua said. *6e, original O first E 7-inch of course, why are you looking at me like that? Although he's not from the Holy Light religion, do I look like someone who ignores and suppresses talents? Ho Yuan said with a frown. I know you're not. Why are you so nervous? Yin Shui said. That look in your eyes just now means that you are. Ho Yuan looked at Yin Shui and said. Well, Eastern Xian domain has 3 people who entered the heavenly rank assessment. It's time to report this. Lei Hua said. Yes, in the past, every domain had super geniuses. Now, our Eastern Xian domain has 1 too. Yin Shui exhaled and said. Eastern Xian domain's 3 people who entered the heavenly rank assessment are all 1 star. Let's see who will have higher achievements in the future. Ho Yuan looked at Zhao Qing. Elder Ho, why are you looking at me like that? Your Holy Light religion's holy sun is strong, but my Southern Dipper sect's Nan Liu'e isn't weak either. Zhao Qing said. Zhao Qing was a protector. His position was lower than Lei Hua, Ho Yuan, and Yin Shui. However, Ho Yuan's eyes were somewhat provocative, so he directly spoke. You don't participate in the management of your respective forces. Why are you fighting over this matter? Lei Hua directly interrupted. You can fight. This king will continue to watch the show. However, this king is optimistic about night sorrow. Yin Shui said with a smile. Not to mention the Holy Light religion's holy sun, Southern Dipper sect's Nan Liu'e has entered the 4th stage for some time, right? Why do you think so highly of him? Ho Yuan said. It's because his cultivation is low that this king is optimistic about him. All 3 of them are 1 star in the heavenly rank assessment. Who do you think has more room for improvement? Night Sorrow entered the gold token before the 3rd stage, so he needs to be given extra stars. If he enters the 4th stage within 2 years, you still need to give him extra stars. Can these 2 do it? Yin Shui said as she counted with her fingers. Hee, head protector, don't provoke people. However, before the 3rd stage, the 2 from Holy Light religion and Southern Dipper sect aren't as dazzling as him. Lei Hua said. Ho Yuan and Zhao Qing didn't say anything. This was because the person they thought highly of didn't have such deep qualifications at Night Sorrow stage. This was equivalent to losing a part of the opportunity in the heavenly rank assessment. It depends on whether he can grasp it. If he can't grasp it, then he will lose a lot of opportunities to increase his qualifications. Lei Hua said. He can definitely grasp it. This guy has a pure heart, pure and persistent. If this king is not wrong, he will continue to sweep the floor after entering the 3rd stage. At that time, you just need to wait for more stars. Yin Shui said after thinking for a while. Chapter 235. Geniuses remember love in 1 second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. We're all members of Tianji Tower. What's the point of being territorial? You're so narrow-minded. Yin Shui glanced at Ho Yuan and said, "All right, Jiao Qing, you're currently in charge of the Medicine Valley. Pay attention to the situation. We're not interested in the small fights between those forces, but we can't allow anyone to touch our Tianji Tower's members," Lei Hui said to Jiao Qing. "I understand." Jiao Qing nodded. "Elder Ho, you're in charge of the Realm C. If the Jiyu clan and the Sikong clan come again, inform Knight Sorrow that if they enter the Medicine Valley, kill the leader immediately," Lei Hui said. "Understood." Ho Yuan nodded. Then, they parted ways. Tianji Tower had a strict system. Its members came from all over the place, but Tianji Tower's interests were paramount. When it came to Tianji Tower's interests, they had to give way. Knight Sorrow cultivated his true qi and the myriad Daos tome for the whole night. After waking up, he went to the training field to practice his spear art. Some time ago, he worked hard to increase the number of vibrational forces. He had already reached the limit of 66 vibrational forces. Now, his cultivation direction was to make the vibrational force smoother. Knight Sorrow could use 45 vibrational forces at will. After advancing to the core formation realm, Knight Sorrow could use 66 vibrational forces. However, using them and exerting their power were two different things. Knight Sorrow wanted to maximize the power of these 66 vibrational forces. The reincarnation spear, which carried vibrational forces, made a buzzing sound when it was waved. The afterimages of the spear were everywhere. Yang Lei's hands were itchy, so she went to fight with Knight Sorrow. With an opponent, Knight Sorrow could feel the vibrational force more clearly. Every time their weapons clashed, Yang Lei's long sword would be knocked away. This was because Yang Lei used her true qi to block it. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to hold her weapon. Knight Sorrow wasn't like before, where he couldn't even last a quarter of an hour. Now, his Shin Qi and the energy in his body were much stronger than before, so his fighting strength was also much stronger. The intensity of the sparring between the two also increased. Seeing that Knight Sorrow was able to resist, Yang Lei also increased the intensity of her true energy. Every time the black long sword was swung, there would be the sound of it breaking through the air. In the beginning, when Knight Sorrow attacked, Yang Lei just stood there and waved her sword. Following Yang Lei's counterattack, Knight Sorrow had to rely on his footwork to deflect the force and then look for an opportunity to continue attacking. When Knight Sorrow used his footwork, Yang Lei also used her footwork and chased after Knight Sorrow. Their bodies flashed back and forth in the training field. This kind of high-intensity sparring continued for more than an hour. When Yang Lei saw that Knight Sorrow's energy consumption wasn't that great, she immediately increased her strength. If there was no pressure, then there would be no meaning in sparring. Ai go shao shua 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 w, ai chu x. As Yang Lei increased her strength, Knight Sorrow found it harder to resist. His speed wasn't as fast as Yang Lei's, and the intensity of his attacks wasn't as high as Yang Lei's. He could only use the energy of the myriad Tao Tome and his true qi to resist Yang Lei's attacks. 2 hours later, Knight Sorrow once again blocked Yang Lei's sword and retreated to the side. "I can't do it anymore. If you can do it again, then I won't be able to do it anymore," Yang Lei said as she wiped her sweat. Sikong Chuyu brought over some tea. "Everyone is tired, come and drink some water." "Thank you," Knight Sorrow said as he took the cup and drank a mouthful of water. "Oh, thank you. There's no need to be so polite between the two of you," Yang Lei said with a smile. Yang Lei's words made Knight Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu feel awkward. "Did you see that? This is your 13th uncle's cultivation method," Aoi said to her and Yang Lei's disciples. "Disciple understands." All the third-generation disciples bowed and nodded. After drinking a cup of water, Night Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu went to Skywater Lake for a stroll. He didn't cultivate immediately after sparring like before. Now, he wanted to spend more time with Sikong Chuyu. After eating lunch, Night Sorrow returned to his room to cultivate. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, Yang Lei and Aoi's disciples suffered. Both of them were holding vines in their hands. During dinner, Night Sorrow saw that Yang Lei and Aoi's disciples were standing while eating. He asked, "Why aren't you sitting down? 6 milligrams, forever, free. Our look/Shao 8p talk, they can't sit anymore." Their butts couldn't even escape from 6th senior sister and 9th senior sister's vines. Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. They were taught a lesson too. Night Sorrow pointed at He Miao and the other 2 female disciples and asked. Sikong Chuyu nodded. She had been watching the entire afternoon. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister, isn't this too cruel? Night Sorrow asked. Cruel? Not at all. Let me put it this way. From the 2nd to the 3rd generation of our master's disciples, you're the only one who hasn't been taught a lesson. Your 6th senior sister and I have been taught a lesson, but not as much as the other senior brothers and juniors. Yang Lei said. Yeah, we were young and playful back then. Master taught us a lesson with vines. 3rd senior brother was the least taught a lesson. Aoi said with a smile. Among us senior brothers and sisters, apart from you, 3rd senior brother is the most hardworking. That time, when we went to the bamboo forest peak to play together, we were beaten up by Master together, Yang Lei added. That's why this is the tradition of Taishan Peak. If you don't want to be bullied, you have to work hard. Aoi said. After hearing Aoi's words, the 3rd generation disciple stood up straight. Originally, I wanted to ask for mercy on your behalf, but now I can't. Let's not care about talent. As long as you work hard, even if you don't succeed in the future, you don't have to regret it. Night Sorrow said. Thank you for your teaching, 13th uncle. Xiang Ding shouted. Can you lower your voice? Xiang Ding's shout almost made Qing Ji, who was still reminiscing about the past, unable to hold the chopsticks in her hand. Afterwards, Aoi waved her hand and told everyone to continue eating. For the next few days, Night Sorrow practiced the basics every night. During the day, he practiced his spear arts, killing fish, and Jinyu hand. Yang Lei told Night Sorrow that he could now practice the 2nd stage of covering heaven hand. However, Night Sorrow wanted to wait until the myriad Tao Tome reached the 3rd stage of bone tempering before practicing the 2nd stage of covering heaven hand. On this day, Night Sorrow said goodbye to Yang Lei, Aoi, and Sikong Chuyu and went to Danding City. Today was the beginning of the month. Night Sorrow planned to continue clearing missions. He wanted to accumulate combat experience and improve his qualifications in Tianji Tower. With Yang Lei's protection, Night Sorrow could fly his Tianyu around Danding City and arrive at Tianji Tower a little earlier. Tianji Tower was not open yet. Night Sorrow waited at the entrance. As time passed, more and more people gathered at the entrance of Tianji Tower. Many of them were members of Medicine Valley. There were also some rogue cultivators. When the disciples of Medicine Valley saw Night Sorrow, they all greeted him, including the 2 core condensation disciples. Even though their cultivation was high, their seniority was lower than Night Sorrow's. They also knew that although Night Sorrow had just entered the core condensation stage, his combat ability could not be judged by his cultivation. When the Tianji Tower opened, Enforcer Dong, who was standing in the middle of the lobby, saw Night Sorrow. He was obviously surprised, but then he personally went to greet him. With the mission list in hand, Night Sorrow took the majority of the bronze mission points. He also accepted a few simple silver missions before leaving the Empyrean Terminus Tower. Chapter 236. Genius 1 second. Remember, love divided by go divided by little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The Tianji Tower's headquarters in Eastern Xian region had already ordered Enforcer Dong to report everything related to Night Sorrow to the higher-ups. Night Sorrow had come for a sweeping mission again, and Enforcer Dong had to report it to the higher-ups. The Tianji Tower's headquarters in Eastern Xian region was located in Eastern Xian City. However, it was very fast to transmit information back and forth because the Tianji Tower had a sky peak bird that could transmit information. Eastern Xian City was the number 1 city in Eastern Xian region. It didn't belong to any faction. Of course, ordinary factions couldn't establish themselves here. There was a special system here. Very few people knew who the city lord of the number 1 city in Eastern Xian region was. The deputy city lord and the elders were all highly respected elders in Eastern Xian region. Under them were the enforcers, and so on. The order in the city was maintained by these people. These administrators came from all over Eastern Xian region. Some were from the 7 superpowers, and some were rogue cultivators. However, no one dared to run amok just because they held an official position in Eastern Xian City. Once they crossed the line, not only would they be removed from their position, they might even be beheaded. Eastern Xian City had a troop of iron guards called the Eastern Xian Iron Guards. They only obeyed the orders of the city lord, and their duty was to supervise all the officials in Eastern Xian City. If they violated the iron rules set by Eastern Xian City, they would be beheaded. However, to be an official in Eastern Xian City, there must be great benefits. Even if they didn't use their power, many people would give them face, and the development of their family or faction would be smooth. Love Go Little Say Webcom. Medicine Valley also had a branch in Eastern Xian City that dealt in the ordinary elixir business. Under the 7 superpowers, there were countless first-class forces. Medicine Valley's strength was nothing in Eastern Xian City. They relied on the good reputation of their elixirs to establish themselves in Eastern Xian City. This was also the reputation that Medicine Valley had accumulated over the years, and could be considered as their foundation. Night Sorrow had a flying demonic beast, so he could sweep away the bronze missions easily. The 2 silver missions didn't take much effort. After 6 days, Night Sorrow returned and handed in all the missions. The only genuine copy, the others are pirated copies. After handing in the quest, Night Sorrow returned to the Longquan courtyard. How many quests did you do? Aoi asked when she saw Night Sorrow. 7 or 8. Not bad, Night Sorrow said. The promotion of the silver token is rather difficult. It requires the accumulation of many missions. Take your time. Sikong Chuyu walked over with the silver fox cub. Love Go Little Say Ku, I understand. I'll accumulate a few more times and my points will increase, Night Sorrow said with a smile. It would be great if there was an unlimited mission. That kind of top-level mission would give a frightening amount of points, Sikong Chuyu said. The probability of that mission appearing is too low. I've been doing Tianji Tower missions for several years, and I've only heard of it once, but no one has ever completed it, Yang Lei said as she walked over. What's an unrestricted quest? Night Sorrow asked. Sikong Chuyu then explained it to Night Sorrow. An unrestricted quest was a quest that surpassed the gold level. There was no level restriction for this type of quest. Anyone with a Tianji Tower token could accept it. However, the difficulty was quite high. It required strength and luck. Otherwise, all the members of Tianji Tower would not be mobilized. With a Tianji Tower token, one was considered a member of Tianji Tower. Of course, they were not part of the establishment. They were not even considered part of the periphery. That depends on luck. Maybe when my luck comes, an unrestricted quest will be issued, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After eating, Night Sorrow greeted the others and rode Tianyu to Danding Cliff to cultivate. He wasn't in a hurry to raise his true chi, but he was in a hurry to raise the level of the myriad Taoist tome and enter the bone-forging realm. That way, his combat ability would increase greatly. After returning to Medicine Valley, Knight Sorrow did not go to Taishan Peak. Instead, he went directly to Danding Cliff. Knight Sorrow, you're here, Elder Su greeted Knight Sorrow. Yes. Greetings, Elder. Knight Sorrow bowed to Elder Su. Go. Elder Su nodded to Knight Sorrow. There's something else I need to trouble Elder Su. Tianyu doesn't like to be in the beast taming space. I'll leave it here. Can I trouble Elder Su to feed it a beast vitality pill every day? Knight Sorrow asked. That won't be a problem, don't worry. Elder Su really liked Yishang's attitude towards Tianyu. After giving Elder Su a bottle of beast vitality pills and communicating with Tianyu, Knight Sorrow went to Danding Cliff to cultivate. Knight Sorrow planned to improve his alchemy level when he had time. This matter was also urgent for him. For chi cultivation, he used the soul gathering pill when he was in the 2nd stage and the spirit congealing pill when he was in the 3rd stage. Knight Sorrow had the spirit congealing pill. The best quality spirit congealing pill funded by Tianji Tower was enough for him. However, he had to find his own way to cultivate the myriad Tao tome. The leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill was enough for Knight Sorrow. Most of the energy he used to cultivate the myriad Tao tome was cultivated at Danding Cliff, which saved him a lot of pills. However, when he entered the 3rd stage of the myriad Tao tome, he needed to change to auxiliary pills. Knight Sorrow already had the pill recipe. He found it in Feng Chen's alchemy manual. It was called the Dragon Bone Forging Pill. The Dragon Bone Forging Pill was not the pill recipe that Feng Chen had. It was one of the ancient recipes that he had collected. This pill was used to repair and strengthen bones. It was a 3rd stage pill. Knight Sorrow did not know if the Dragon Bone Forging Pill was suitable for cultivating the myriad Tao tome. However, at present, he only had this choice. He did not know if it would succeed. The Dragon Bone Forging Pill was a good pill. Even if it was not particularly suitable for auxiliary cultivation, it could still provide Knight Sorrow with the energy to cultivate the myriad Tao tome. This pill was used to heal broken bones. It definitely needed the energy to have bones. The difficulty was to obtain the bones of the 4th stage Ice Flood Dragon, which was the main ingredient. In the Eastern Xian domain, the Ice Flood Dragon could only be found in the eastern snow mountain of the easternmost ice field. That place was very far away from the Medicine Valley. It was millions of miles away. If Knight Sorrow wanted to go there, even if Tianyu's cultivation base increased and his flying speed increased, it would still take at least 2 months. This matter was imperative for Knight Sorrow. Because of the great danger, Knight Sorrow did not mention it to anyone. He planned to enter the bone forging realm before going. This time, Knight Sorrow flew up Danding Cliff. When he reached the 5,300-meter mark, he began to meditate and cultivate. Lin Tianjue sat a short distance above Knight Sorrow's head. Looking at Knight Sorrow's figure, Lin Tianjue's eyes flashed with killing intent. Last time, because of Knight Sorrow, he had lost a lot of face. Others did not care about this matter, but he did not dare to express it. The difference in cultivation between the two was huge. However, their statuses in the Medicine Valley were completely different. Even though Lin Tianjue was on the elixir list, his treatment was not as good as Knight Sorrow's. Knight Sorrow was a heaven-grade disciple. On the 7th day of Knight Sorrow's cultivation, Yang Lei appeared. She rode the green condor to the height of Knight Sorrow's cultivation. 13. Come down quickly. I have something to tell you. Standing on the green condor, Yang Lei waved at Knight Sorrow. Chapter 237. A genius remembers love in 1 second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Here's a mission. It's really strange. That day, I mentioned to you about the unlimited task, and now Tianji Tower is really releasing it. Yang Lei controlled the green condor to land on the ground. The two of them wanted to leave, but they had to inform Elder Su first. Besides, Knight Soros Tianyu was still lying on the side. Old 9. You need to change your fiery temper. You need to be more stable, Elder Su said to Yang Lei with a smile. Yang Lei was currently the youngest elder in the Medicine Valley, so the older generation liked to call her Old 9. Elder Su, you know that this is my personality. It's hard to change it. This is my nature. Yang Lei said helplessly. All right. If someone else had such a personality, they probably wouldn't have any future in cultivation. But you. I just can't understand you. Elder Su shook his head helplessly. The temperament of a cultivator was very important. It directly affected one's state of mind and could even determine the level of one's achievements. Normally, if one had a calm temperament, their state of mind would be stable, and their future achievements would be high. However, Yang Lei was completely different. Elder Su, I'll head back first. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands at Elder Su after calling out to Tianyu. Go. Elder Su smiled and nodded at Knight Sorrow. Love go little say Knight Sorrow and Yang Lei rode the green condor and Tianyu away from Danding Cliff. Not far from Danding Cliff, Yang Lei leaped and landed on Tianyu's back. 13. You're in good spirits. K edition first. X hair. J, thank goodness, 9th senior sister, you haven't told me what the mission is. Knight Sorrow asked. This quest is very difficult. We need to go to the eastern ice field to find the ice spirit well and the ice spirit blood essence. This quest is very difficult, but we still need to try our luck, Yang Lei said. You mean to go to the eastern ice field? Knight Sorrow looked at Yang Lei in surprise. How come you know about the eastern ice field? Yang Lei looked at Knight Sorrow with a puzzled expression. The eastern ice field was very far away from the Medicine Valley. It was a dangerous place. The temperature there was very low. Ordinary third-stage cultivators couldn't enter the core area because they didn't have protective chi to resist the cold. I plan to make a trip to the eastern ice field. Even without this unrestricted quest, I would still go, Knight Sorrow said. If you want to go to the eastern ice field, then you have something to do. What kind of lousy business do you have that you need to go so far? Yang Lei knew Knight Sorrow. If there wasn't anything urgent, Knight Sorrow wouldn't stop cultivating and go out. I want to hunt the ice jow. I need the ice jow's bones to refine medicinal pills, Knight Sorrow said his plan. Yang Lei didn't continue to ask. She already understood. Knight Sorrow needed medicinal pills to strengthen his body. She and Aoi both knew that Knight Sorrow needed the blood of the golden silk leopard to refine the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. Now that his body's strength had increased, it was normal to change the medicine. It was just like the second stage true chi cultivation needed the soul gathering pill and the third stage true chi cultivation needed the spirit congealing pill. Are there many people in the Medicine Valley who want to take this mission? Knight Sorrow asked. A lot of people. How many people would go? The environment of the eastern ice field is too dangerous. Not many people are willing to go. Your 6th senior sister and 11th senior brother don't plan to go. I plan to go and have a look, so I came to call you. Yang Lei said. Even if we don't talk about this unlimited quest, I'm still going, Knight Sorrow said. Let's not talk about points for now. The reward for this mission is good stuff. It's the Clear Void Pill and the Great Void Pill. There's also a weapon, a Tier 5 weapon. Yang Lei opened her mouth and said. I'm sorry, Yang Lei said. I know about the tiers of pills, but what about tier 5 weapons? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. Since you haven't come into contact with these things yet, I'll explain it to you. Yang Lei sat down and explained to Night Sorrow. Pills were divided into tiers. A cultivator would use pills of that tier depending on their tier. If a low-tier cultivator used a high-tier pill, the consequences would be very serious. Weapons were also divided into tiers, but it wasn't as strict as pills. A tier 1 cultivator could use a tier 2 weapon, but they could also use a tier 3 or tier 4 weapon. However, it wouldn't work the other way around. Once a tier 5 cultivator used a tier 4 or tier 3 weapon, the weapon wouldn't be able to withstand the cultivator's true chi. It would be damaged and explode. Then, senior sister, what's the tier of my weapon? Night Sorrow took out the reincarnation spear and asked. Your reincarnation spear was refined by Master using many of the best materials in the Medicine Valley. Its tier won't be low. As for what tier it is, you'll have to experience it yourself. You're now tier 3, and the reincarnation spear can withstand the impact of all your energy. This means that it's at least tier 3. The weapon was made for you, so only you know best, Yang Lei said. So you're saying that if I reach tier 4, the reincarnation spear will have to be replaced if it can't withstand my true chi and body's energy? Night Sorrow frowned. He wasn't willing to accept this situation. Don't worry. Master used many of his treasures to forge the reincarnation spear for you. It's at least a tier 4 weapon. Other than that, the weapon can also automatically upgrade. After a long period of infusion and nourishment by the Master's true chi, a tier 4 weapon can be upgraded to tier 5. Yang Lei saw through Night Sorrow's worries. If tier 5 weapons are rare, then wouldn't tier 6 weapons be even rarer? Night Sorrow thought for a moment and asked. Of course, they're very rare. Tier 6 weapons are spiritual weapons. The 8-dragon cauldron in the Medicine Valley is a spiritual weapon, and it's even a high-tier spiritual weapon, Yang Lei explained to Night Sorrow. Weapons of each tier were divided into 3 grades. The first 3 grades of each tier were the early stage. For example, the first 3 grades of the spirit severing stage were the early stage. The middle 4 to 6 grades were the middle stage, and the 7th to 9th grades were the late stage. The first 3 grades of the Venerable Realm were the early stage of the Venerable Realm, and their corresponding weapons were low-tier spiritual weapons. The middle stage of the Venerable Realm used medium-tier spiritual weapons, and the late stage of the Venerable Realm used high-tier spiritual weapons. The 8-dragon cauldron in the Medicine Valley was a high-tier spiritual weapon, so it was difficult for Hua Yunping to fully activate it. I understand. It seems that the weapon reward this time is very important to Ninth Senior Sister, Night Sorrow said. If it's an ordinary tier 5 weapon, I really don't care, but it's a tier 5 weapon, the Thunder Sword. Even an early stage of the Venerable Realm can use it, Yang Lei said. I see. Then let's try our luck, Night Sorrow said. Well, my black iron sword can't keep up with the pace, so it needs to be replaced. Yang Lei nodded. Then let's go back and prepare, and then we'll set off, Night Sorrow said. Okay, you have to tell your little lover not to let them worry. In addition, we have to speed up. After all, those who go first have the upper hand. In addition, battles are inevitable, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow could understand this point. This time, all the forces in the Eastern Profound Domain would gather in the Eastern Ice Field. It would be strange if there were no battles. There would be battles, and they would be very fierce. Chapter 238. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by Shao. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei went their separate ways after returning to Danding City. Yang Lei went to the city lord's mansion to settle some matters. Night Sorrow went to Tianji Tower. He still wanted to find out more about the situation from Enforcer Dong. When he arrived at Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow saw a busy scene. Many cultivators had gathered at Tianji Tower. Most of them were individual cultivators, members of some families, small forces, and some disciples of the Medicine Valley who did not understand the situation. The staff of the Celestial Terminus Tower took out a map of the far eastern ice field and explained the situation there to these people. After the explanation of the staff of Tianji Tower, many people gave up. After all, they could not even get close to the central area of the Far East ice field. How could they talk about completing the mission? Night Sorrow went straight to Enforcer Dong. Enforcer Dong brought Night Sorrow to a private room. I knew you would come. Do you need any help? It's like this. I want to know if the East Snow Mountain is the only place where the ice flood dragon appears in the Far East ice field. Night Sorrow asked. Why are you asking this? I'll go get the information. After glancing at Night Sorrow, Enforcer Dong left the room to look for the information. He thought that Night Sorrow would ask about this unrestricted mission. He did not expect that Night Sorrow would ask about the ice flood dragon. Baidu search love go female sign xiao shua www.aichux. So after returning with 2 books of information, Enforcer Dong sat down. The ice flood dragon appears in the East Snow Mountain the most. Of course, there are also other areas, but they are relatively rare. I understand. It's an unrestricted mission. Is it convenient for you to tell me more? Night Sorrow didn't want to make things difficult for Enforcer Dong. After all, there was a price to pay for some information in Tianjin Tower. Of course it's convenient. The mission this time is to find the Ice Spirit Blood Essence. The Ice Spirit Blood Essence can only be found in the Ice Spirit Well. The Ice Spirit Well is a special place in the far eastern ice field. It is a spring formed by the Ice Spirit Chi that has accumulated for tens of thousands of years at the bottom of the far eastern ice field, Enforcer Dong said as he pushed the book in front of him to Night Sorrow. The separated page of the book was an introduction to the Ice Spirit Well. The Ice Spirit Well was not fixed. It could be said that it was a phenomenon of the eastern ice field. The Ice Spirit Chi under the eastern ice field was very dense. It broke through the ice surface and formed a passage with the ice field sea underground. This was called the Ice Spirit Well. The Ice Spirit Blood Essence was the flesh and blood essence of the golden arowana fish, a type of demonic beast in the Ice Plain Sea. After being refined by the Ice Spirit Chi in the Ice Plain Sea, it became a rare treasure. However, it was still very rare. This was also the reason why the Tianji Tower issued such an unrestricted mission. This kind of mission not only required strength, but also luck. If the Ice Spirit Well could not be found, even the Supreme Heavenly Mirror would be useless. Even if the Ice Spirit Well was found, the Ice Spirit Blood Essence would still be very busy. I understand. Night Sorrow closed the book and pushed it back to Enforcer Dong. You should have the map, but it's not comprehensive. Take this map. Enforcer Dong took out another map and handed it to Night Sorrow. Thank you, Enforcer Dong. Night Sorrow kept the map and cupped his hands at Enforcer Dong before leaving. He met up with Yang Lei at the entrance of the City Lord Mansion and returned to the Dragon Spring Courtyard. After returning to the Dragon Spring Courtyard, Night Sorrow told Aoi and Sikong Chuyu about his decision. I knew you would go. 6th senior sister will not go. It's not convenient for Sikong to go either. You and 9th senior sister will go. There will be a lot of people going there this time. Battles are unavoidable. Be careful. Aoi said. I understand. We are going to do the mission. We are not looking for trouble. However, if there are, we will not be polite. Night Sorrow nodded and said. Forever L2 free look, W/small d, 6th senior sister, don't worry. Yang Lei said. When do you plan to leave? Sikong Chuyu asked. We will leave after packing up. This time, I might need more time. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and said. He was reluctant to leave. Go. Be careful. You must come back early. There is no safe place outside. Sikong Chuyu was worried. I know. This time, we are going to the eastern ice field to do something else. As for the mission, it depends on luck. Night Sorrow nodded and said. There was nothing to prepare. Night Sorrow came back to greet Aoi and Sikong Chuyu. After exchanging greetings, Yi Shang and Yang Lei rode their flying demon beasts and left. Doing this kind of unrestricted mission required luck as well as initiative. Half an hour after Yang Lei and Night Sorrow left, Sikong Chuyu, who was drinking tea with Aoi, suddenly stood up and his expression changed. Sikong, what's wrong? Aoi asked. East Snow Mountain of the Eastern Ice Field, Qianren Peak is a forbidden area. I forgot to tell Night Sorrow and Ninth Senior Sister. Sikong Chuyu said anxiously. What forbidden area? Aoi asked. She had never heard of it. I heard from my ancestor that Qianren Peak of the Eastern Ice Field is a place where experts live in seclusion. Back then, a venerable from the Qingtian domain needed cold jade bamboo to make a weapon. Later, he found Qianren Peak of the Eastern Ice Field. He saw cold jade bamboo, but he almost lost his life because there was an expert living in seclusion there. That expert spared the venerable's life to send a message that no one is allowed to set foot on East Snow Mountain of the Eastern Ice Field. Sikong Chuyu explained to Aoi. You mean to say that even the Venerable One almost died there? Qing Ji was a little worried. Yes, that should be the place where peerless experts cultivate in seclusion. Sikong Chuyu nodded. They were on a mission. Didn't they say that they were looking for the ice spirit well? They wouldn't go up the snow mountain. After thinking for a while, Aoi heaved a sigh of relief. That's right. I was too worried. That person dared to let a venerable go out and report the forbidden area. He definitely isn't afraid of provocation. He has the strength to look down on all heroes, Sikong Chuyu said. Medicine Valley didn't have a venerable before, so there are some things that we don't know. Aoi shook her head. This was the foundation. Medicine Valley wasn't a superpower, so they weren't qualified to know some things. It will get better slowly, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. She felt that Medicine Valley would rise. Sikong Chuyu didn't understand. She saw that the disciples of Medicine Valley were all outstanding. According to this pattern, there should have been outstanding people in Medicine Valley in the past countless years. How could there be no venerable? Of course, she didn't know that Medicine Valley's inheritance had just been found. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei didn't know about this. In order to hurry on with their journey, the two of them rode together. This way, the green condor was exhausted. They could continue to ride on the Tianyu and let the green condor rest. 13. When we reach the far east ice field, we'll search in the direction of East Snow Mountain. This way, your matter won't conflict with the unrestricted mission, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow, who was meditating with his legs crossed. Chapter 239. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. I'll provide you with wonderful novels to read. Maybe. I don't care about this mission, but I must kill the ice flood dragon. Night Sorrow said. Okay. The journey is quite far. Even if we take turns flying, it will still take nearly a month. During this time, cultivate diligently and see if your cultivation base can increase by another level. Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. Okay, I'll meditate and cultivate. Night Sorrow nodded to Yang Lei. He really didn't have a month to waste. The following days were spent hurriedly on the road. Night Sorrow used top-grade spirit congealing pills and leopard embryo muscle strengthening pills to cultivate every day. When they changed mounts, Yang Lei would call Night Sorrow to put away Tianyu or release Tianyu. With the support of top-grade pills, Night Sorrow's cultivation base increased very quickly. Halfway through the journey, Night Sorrow's myriad Dao scripture had reached the peak of the 8th level of the muscle-strengthening realm. His true Qi had also reached the peak of the 1st level of the core condensation realm. So Night Sorrow planned to break through. This way, he wouldn't be able to do it on the back of a flying demonic beast. 13. We'll land in a bit. We'll rest for tonight. You can use it to break through. Yang Lei saw Night Sorrow's situation. That'll waste time. Others will arrive first. Night Sorrow thought for a moment before speaking. If we rush at full speed, others won't be faster than us. Besides, one more bit of strength means one more bit of assurance. It's better for you to break through. Yang Lei had the Azure Eagle land. After casually eating a bit of food and feeding beast origin pills to the Azure Eagle and Tianyu, Night Sorrow went to break through. He planned to break through the myriad Dao scripture first. The stronger his body's energy, the stronger his ability to resist the cold in the eastern icy plains would be. In order to enter the 9th rank of the muscle-strengthening realm, he had to strengthen the meridians in his neck and allow the energy in his body to circulate more smoothly. This was a challenge for Night Sorrow. The strengthening of the meridians in the neck would affect the circulation of blood and breathing. Every time the myriad Tao Tome advanced to this stage, it would be a test for Night Sorrow. This time, Night Sorrow didn't attack his entire neck like before. Instead, he chose to attack the area around his throat first. After strengthening that area, he wouldn't feel suffocated anymore. There was a reason for this decision. At the beginning of the breakthrough, the energy in his body was sufficient, and he could strengthen the veins in his throat at the fastest speed. This way, he could avoid suffocation. B. On Chapter 9 of C. With the impact of the energy in his body, the tendons near Night Sorrow's throat and surrounding muscles began to twitch. This was a sign that the energy had invaded and strengthened. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs. Xiaom the neck was a sensitive area. Although Night Sorrow had made a lot of preparations, the feeling of suffocation brought about by the breakthrough was still very strong. Night Sorrow endured it, his fingernails digging into his palms. Seeing Night Sorrow's muscles twitching and sweat flowing down his neck, Yang Lei was extremely worried. She knew that Night Sorrow was in an extremely bad situation. The neck and throat were the weakest parts of the human body. They were the focus of an opponent's attacks. For Night Sorrow to strengthen them now, the difficulty could be imagined. Just as Night Sorrow was about to reach his limit, the tendons near his throat were also unable to absorb any more energy. The strengthening was complete. Taking a deep breath, Night Sorrow began to strengthen the other parts of his neck. Following that, he just had to do it step by step. There wasn't any difficulty. After 4 hours, Night Sorrow had completely strengthened the tendons around his neck. This also indicated that he had entered the 9th rank of the myriad Tao Tome. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow didn't get up. He let the energy in his body automatically circulate to stabilize his cultivation. Then he began to break through the Holy Cauldron scripture. Normally, Night Sorrow should focus on stabilizing his cultivation at this time, but he knew that he couldn't afford to waste time. If he didn't continue to break through his true Qi tonight, he would need another night. Seeing Night Sorrow's true Qi revolving faster, Yang Lei frowned. She knew that Night Sorrow had just broken through the shackles of his body. Now he should stabilize the results, not continue to break through his true Qi. But Night Sorrow had already begun to break through, and she couldn't interrupt him. When the moon set in the second half of the night, Night Sorrow's true chi smoothly broke through to the second level of core condensation. Then he continued to stabilize his cultivation and cultivated until dawn. After opening his eyes, Night Sorrow first opened the wine jug and drank 2 mouthfuls. You're so reckless. You can't break through little by little. Do you need to be so anxious? Yang Lei stretched out her hand and pulled Night Sorrow's ear. Ah! Ninth senior sister, let go, it hurts. Night Sorrow grabbed Yang Lei's hand and didn't let Yang Lei continue to pull his ear. Staring at Night Sorrow, Yang Lei let go of Night Sorrow's ear. Slippery, your ear is very tough. Yang Lei clapped her hands and said. My head is a little weak, the strength of the other parts is good. Night Sorrow said while rubbing his ear. Well, other parts are strengthened. Yang Lei bowed her head, her eyes fell on Night Sorrow's waist, and then looked down. Ninth senior sister, what are you doing? Night Sorrow knew where Yang Lei was looking, the key part of a man. You also strengthened that part. In the future. Yang Lei's face turned red. Not yet, but I can enter the next stage. I need to cultivate the outer chapter, Yishan said in a muffled voice. The myriad Tao treasured tome did have an outer part for cultivating the life root, but it required one to enter the bone-forging realm. I won't say anything about you, do as you see fit. Yang Lei turned her head and looked to the side. She was the one who had asked this question, but now that Night Sorrow had answered it, she could only escape. After finding a water source, Night Sorrow washed up and called for Yang Lei to get on Tianyu's back. For the past few days, the two of them had been eating on Tianyu and the azure condor's back. This way, they wouldn't waste time. After drinking a jar of wine and eating some food, Night Sorrow began to meditate and stabilize his cultivation. Seeing Night Sorrow cultivate, Yang Lei also began to cultivate. She found that her efforts were far from Night Sorrow's. The time spent on the road was spent cultivating. After a month, the two of them arrived at the eastern ice field. The eastern ice field was already very cold. Fortunately, the two of them had prepared fur coats before coming, so they could somewhat resist the cold. It's really cold here. Looking at the vast expanse of white land and sky, Yang Lei let out a breath. Her breath directly turned into white mist. It's okay, I don't feel it. Night Sorrow said as he shook his body. Blood and chi are surging, essence chi is rushing to the top. Ninth senior sister won't say anything. Yang Lei looked at Yishang and said with some hesitation. She didn't use her true chi to protect her body, so she felt extremely cold. Yishang, on the other hand, didn't have any problem at all. His head was filled with heat. Ninth senior sister isn't used to it. Night Sorrow took off his fur coat and handed it to Yang Lei. Chapter 240. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow knew that although the environment was harsh, it was nothing for the 5th rank Yang Lei. If even a 5th rank cultivator couldn't withstand the cold, then there was no need for others to come. What was the point of completing the mission? They would be frozen into popsicles. Tianyu and the blue condor could still withstand the cold. Demonic beasts with feathers were more resistant to the cold. The far eastern ice field was very large, spanning tens of thousands of miles. It was impossible to rely on human strength to walk, so they could only continue to ride on flying demonic beasts. The edge of the far eastern ice field was affected by the Icefield Sea, forming a flat area. If it wasn't the Icefield Sea, there wouldn't be an ice spirit well. Therefore, they had to move forward. After truly entering the far eastern ice field, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei began to move forward separately. However, the distance between the two wasn't large, so they could coordinate at any time. This way, the search area was larger, and there were more opportunities. This was a mission of luck. To be able to come to the far eastern ice field was strength, and to be able to find an ice spirit well was luck. If there was an ice spirit blood essence in the ice spirit well, then they would hit the jackpot and complete the unrestricted mission. The ice spirit well rarely appeared, and those with ice spirit blood essence were even rarer. Therefore, the mission was very difficult. After advancing for a day, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei set up camp at night. The two prepared beast skins and made a small shack with them. Then, they went inside to rest. "This damned weather is really killing me," Yang Lei said as she entered the tent and rubbed her hands. "Here. Ninth senior sister, drink some wine to warm your body. Spread out a few more beast skins." Night Sorrow handed Yang Lei a jar of wine, then spread out a few beast skins and let Yang Lei sit on them. "It's okay. Your senior sister isn't that weak. I didn't use true qi to protect my body because I wanted to feel how cold the far eastern ice field is. Now, I just need to circulate my true qi." Yang Lei sat down cross-legged and began to meditate. Yishang glanced at Yang Lei, then sat to the side and began to meditate. The climate of the far eastern ice field was nothing to him. He treated it as a form of training. The pressure from the extreme cold on his body was not as great as the pressure from Danding Cliff. The difference was too great. Night Sorrow felt that the pressure brought about by the extreme cold was similar to that of the 3,400 to 500 meters at Danding Cliff. After cultivating for an entire night, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei continued their journey. Yang Lei had already adapted to the climate. With her rank 5 cultivation base, she only needed to slightly accelerate the circulation of her true qi to resist the bitter cold. The two of them rode on flying demon beasts, shuttling through the eastern ice field. Night Sorrow stood on Tianyu's back and looked at the white ice field, searching for the ice spirit well. After a few days, the two of them didn't discover anything, but they had already gone deep into the eastern ice field. The harsh environment had almost no effect on Night Sorrow. The energy of Myriad Tao Tome was running, and the impact of the extreme cold on his body was completely offset. 13. I found that you are too amazing. The energy of my body has exceeded the rank 3. That is to say, in this place, those below core condensation can no longer stay here. Core condensation is also very difficult. Even if you can stay here, the consumption is huge. But you are fine. After another rest, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. Fortunately, I don't feel much impact. It's much worse than the pressure on Danding Cliff. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Well, you win. Looking at your current trend, there will be no problem for you to reach the core area of the far eastern ice field. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Is there a big difference in the temperature? Night Sorrow wasn't sure about this. Yes, the far eastern ice field has existed for countless years. Under our feet is the ice field sea. No one knows how deep the sea is. It is extremely cold, so the core area should be even colder. Yang Lei said. There won't be any heaven-defying demon beasts in the icefield sea, right? Night Sorrow looked at the ground and asked. There are all kinds of strange things in the world. No one knows if there are other demon beasts in the icefield sea, but the one that formed the ice spirit blood essence is the demon beast golden dragon fish. I think in such a big icefield sea, if there is a golden dragon fish, there must be other demon beasts. Demon beasts that can survive in the icefield sea must be something we can't afford to offend. Yang Lei said. Yes, we must be in awe of the unknown. Who knows what is down there? We should look for the ice spirit well and kill 2 ice Jiao dragons. Night Sorrow said. Okay, then let's continue. Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. In the next few days, the two searched in the direction of the East Snow Mountain. Yang Lei saw an ice spirit well, but it was only an eruption caused by the rich ice spirit qi in the ice-filled sea. There was no ice spirit blood essence. The ice spirit well appeared because the ice layer couldn't suppress the ice spirit qi in the ice spirit sea, and the ice spirit qi erupted. The ice spirit qi was even richer in places with ice spirit blood essence. This was also the reason why there was ice spirit blood essence in the ice spirit well. Ninth senior sister, why don't we see anyone else? Night Sorrow asked Yang Lei after another rest. We came early. You should know that the nearest human territory to the far eastern ice field is hundreds of thousands of miles away. It won't be so fast. Yang Lei said. After a night's rest, the two continued. Yang Lei had already used her vital energy to protect herself. The blue condor's condition had also deteriorated a lot. Its resistance to cold was not as good as Tianyu's. Yang Lei guessed that they would continue to move forward. The blue condor might not be able to be used. The two separated by 6 to 7 miles and continued to search ahead. After advancing for 2 hours, Night Sorrow saw something special. A white mist rushed into the sky. Night Sorrow controlled Tianyu to land and asked Tianyu to find Yang Lei. He approached the place where the white mist erupted. This was a sign that the ice spirit well had just appeared. In other words, it had just erupted. Night Sorrow went to the edge of the newly appeared ice spirit well to watch. When he noticed the red light in the white mist, he was shocked. This was the sign of ice spirit blood essence. While Night Sorrow was watching, Yang Lei rode the blue condor and followed Tianyu. Ninth senior sister, there's ice spirit blood essence here. Night Sorrow looked at Yang Lei and said. Well, you've earned a lot this time. Yang Lei was not jealous. She was just happy for Night Sorrow. Ninth senior sister, don't say that. Give me the points. I'll give you the elixirs and weapons. Night Sorrow said to Yang Lei. Haha, 13, you're so generous. I don't want the elixirs. Give me the weapons. Yang Lei stepped forward and put her arm around Night Sorrow's shoulder. Senior sister, don't be so polite with me. Night Sorrow shook his head. I'm not being polite with you. If you didn't already have Sikong Chuyu, I might have given myself to you. Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow with a smile. His heart trembled. Looking at Yang Lei, Night Sorrow did not know what to say. He could only turn around and watch the ice spirit well continue to erupt. Only when the suppressed ice spirit qi finished erupting could he go forward and collect the ice spirit blood essence. More than an hour later, the white mist from the ice spirit well disappeared. Chapter 241. Genius 1 second. Remember love/go/little. This is a wonderful novel for you to read. It was no wonder that Night Sorrow and Yang Lei were surprised. There were 2 red crystals the size of a human head in the ice spirit well. The red crystals exuded a rich spirit aura. Night Sorrow knew that these were the ice spirit blood essences required for the unrestricted mission. Love go little say W. Chu. Night Sorrow reached out to take them, but Yang Lei stopped him. The cold aura is too strong. You can't use your hands to take them. Night Sorrow nodded and put on the claw gloves made for him by the Medicine Valley. Then, he took the 2 ice spirit blood essences out of the ice spirit well. Why aren't you putting them away? What are you waiting for? Yang Lei said when she saw Night Sorrow take the ice spirit blood essences out without putting them away. Instead, he looked at the claw gloves that exuded a cold aura. Night Sorrow circulated his vital energy and threw 2 breaking killing punches to force the cold aura out of the claw gloves. Then, he looked at Yang Lei and said, "Ninth senior sister, put them away as well. Hurry up and put them away. Don't say anything unnecessary to ninth senior sister. We'll talk about it after you turn in the mission." Yang Lei glared at Night Sorrow. Upon seeing Yang Lei's determined expression, Night Sorrow took out a storage ring and threw the ice spirit blood essences into it. Then, he threw the storage ring into the storage ring on his hand. Night Sorrow now had 3 storage rings. One was from Feng Qin, one was from Lu Shan Supremacy, and the other was from Su Chenbai's storage ring. Feng Chen's storage ring had the largest storage space, followed by Lu Shan Venerables, and Su Chenbai's storage ring had the smallest storage space. Night Sorrow did this because he was worried that the ice spirit blood essence's cold air would freeze the other items in his storage ring. Not bad. 13. Your luck is really good. I saw an empty ice spirit well, but you saw an ice spirit blood essence. This is the difference between us, Yang Lei said with a sigh. Ninth senior sister, I don't think it's that hard to find. Night Sorrow said. He didn't think it was that difficult to find the ice spirit blood essence. You're just lucky. Otherwise, you might not find an ice spirit well even if you searched for a few years in the eastern ice field. Even if you found an ice spirit well, you might not even find an ice spirit blood essence. Yang Lei glared at Night Sorrow. Ninth senior sister, I don't want to go back yet. I want to hunt the ice Jiao, Night Sorrow said. Obtaining the ice spirit blood essence was a mission that would give him some benefits. However, to Night Sorrow, hunting the ice Jiao was the most important thing right now. Night Sorrow had always attached great importance to the cultivation of the myriad Tao Tome, even more than the Holy Cauldron scripture. He knew that the body was the foundation of everything. Besides, cultivating the myriad Tao Tome to the extreme would give him greater achievements than the Holy Cauldron scripture. Of course. I'll go with you, Yang Lei said with a smile. While the two of them were chatting, 2 flying demonic beasts appeared in the sky. They were snow eagles. There were 3 people on the back of the snow eagles. When they saw Night Sorrow and Yang Lei, the 3 of them jumped off the snow eagles. Night Sorrow waved his arm and pulled Yang Lei behind him. He could tell that these people were hostile. Besides, he also knew that in a place like this, humans were no different from demonic beasts. They could fight at any time. When Night Sorrow pulled Yang Lei behind him, the 3 of them also saw the ice spirit well. Eldest senior brother, this ice spirit well seems to have just erupted, a middle-aged man said to an older elder. The elder, who had a hooked nose and was wearing a black robe, waved his hand and interrupted the middle-aged man. I don't care which force you are from. Hand over your storage rings and belts, and I won't kill you. Who are you? Are you trying to rob us for no reason? Night Sorrow took out the reincarnation spear on his back. Look at chapter 26, part O/part I, 6. Although he couldn't tell their cultivation level, Night Sorrow wouldn't compromise since they had spoken. Is the Scarlet Cloud sect enough? I'm Song Jia of the Scarlet Cloud sect. Since you're courting death, I can only send you on your way. Song Jia took out a red saber and pointed it at Night Sorrow. You're really boasting shamelessly. Since you want to fight to the death, I'll fulfill your wish. Yang Lei walked out from behind Night Sorrow. The moment she came out, she waved her sword twice. When Yang Lei waved her sword, the sound of wind and thunder could be heard. This was the characteristic of the wind and thunder sword technique of the Medicine Valley. The 2 sword chis were extremely fast. The black-robed old man Song Jia dodged, and so did the other man. However, the last young man did not manage to dodge, and his body was directly cut in half by the sword chi. Who are you? Song Jia's expression changed when he saw how domineering Yang Lei was. He realized that he couldn't see through Yang Lei even though he was at the 6th level of the spirit severing stage. He was shocked. This meant that Yang Lei's cultivation level was above the 5th level. You just said that you don't care which force we're from. Why are you asking again now? Yang Lei continued to attack as she spoke. Since she had already killed, she didn't plan to leave anyone alive. Yang Lei attacked with all her strength. After a few rounds, the middle-aged man was also killed by Yang Lei. Only Song Jia was left. Let people off when possible. Why do you have to be so aggressive? Song Jia shouted as he retreated. At this moment, he didn't start to be arrogant. Song Jia was very angry. He was angry that he couldn't see the situation clearly and didn't notice such a fierce person like Yang Lei. In fact, he couldn't be blamed. As soon as they appeared, Night Sorrow pulled Yang Lei behind him like a man. Therefore, Song Jia and the other two instinctively thought that it was some sex playboy who brought a woman out for a mission. From the beginning, you planned to let people off when possible. Yang Lei swung her sword and cut off the neck of the snow eagle that Song Jia was approaching. Song Jia had approached the snow eagle with the intention of escaping. After killing the snow eagle, Yang Lei didn't hesitate to attack the other snow eagle that took flight. Both snow eagles were killed and Song Jia's hope of escaping was destroyed. The snow eagles were valuable, but they were also a disaster. If they were brought back to the Medicine Valley, it would be troublesome if the spies of the Scarlet Cloud sect discovered them. I'm Song Jia, the guardian of the Scarlet Cloud sect. Let's talk nicely. Song Jia shouted when he saw that the two snow eagles were killed and there was no hope of escaping. Talk nicely. I hate people like you the most. Go to hell. Yang Lei's attacks were getting more and more violent. Song Jia, who had blocked two of Yang Lei's attacks, began to vomit blood. You forced me to do this. Song Jia roared. He reached his left hand into his robes and grabbed something. Then, he waved it at Yang Lei. Die. When Song Jia waved his hand, Yang Lei's sword also sliced through his head. Night Sorrow smiled and stepped forward. He took Song Jia's storage ring and the other two storage belts. He also dug out the monster cores of the two snow eagles. After doing this, Night Sorrow's expression changed when he turned to look at Yang Lei. Yang Lei was squatting on the ground with her long sword in her hand. Her face was pale. Ninth senior sister, what's wrong with you? Night Sorrow was a little anxious. I've been poisoned. My body is numb and I can't move. Let's get out of here first. It's not safe here. Let's find a safe place first. Yang Lei leaned on Night Sorrow. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.